Here we go.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's up, everybody? Welcome into the live stream. Hope everyone is having a beautiful Sunday. We gonna eat today, as per usual. What's up? What's up? What's up? Hello, Mr. Unemployed. Yo, have PPR my crazy for flexing Joshua Palmer over Jennings and Juwan Johnson. I don't think that's that crazy. I would probably play Juwan Johnson though. Have PPR. Fins up, baby. Have PPR. Tillman, start Waddle, Tillman, or wait for Monday Night Roll Keenan. I would probably play Keenan. Walker, Mason, or David Montgomery. I would go Walker. What's up? One running back and one flex. I would go Pickens and Kenneth Walker. Devontae Smith, Adunze, or Shakir. I would go Devontae Smith. Ingram or Njoku. I would go Njoku. But I think Ingram's a little bit safer. Shakir or Judy. Judy. Coleman over Swift at flex. Yes, I would be fine with that. Trey Benson or Waddle. I would go Waddle. Javonte Williams, Chris Olave, or Devontae Smith. I would go ahead and play Javonte Williams. Nick Chubb or K9. Go with Kenneth Walker. Look, I get Kenneth Walker absolutely screwed the pooch for you guys last week. I get Kenneth Walker was terrible, but you can't wave the white flag after one game of Kenneth Walker. Again, it was that game positive. Like when I watched that and I saw how much usage Charbonnet was getting, I wasn't like jumping for joy if I'm a Kenneth Walker guy, right? I don't think anyone should. But after one down game, I also don't think you can just, give up, bend the knee, be like, it's over. It's never going to be right. It's never going to fix itself. Keenan Allen or Hunter, I would go Hunter. Andrews or Juwan Johnson, I'm going Andrews. Good morning, humans in the chat. What's up with it? What's up with it? What's up? Diggs, JK, or Monra, or Aaron Jones going Diggs. Yo, Dak or Knicks, I'm going Dak. Half PPR, Kamara or Iggy. Eggy? Who the fuck is Eggy? Am I stupid? I'm doing good unemployed, man. What's up, Brian? I feel so stupid right now. Oh, Egbuka. I'd go Egbuka. I don't know why that took me like 10 seconds to figure out who Eggy was, even though it was like the most obvious question ever. Chubb, Montgomery, or Keon? Montgomery. Egbukake. Andrews. How you doing? I'm doing great, man. Yo, PPR, Henderson, Pearsall, or Ridley? Thank you for the super chat, Megs. I'm going to get to you next. Henderson, Pearsall, or Ridley? I would go Pearsall. Guys, don't worry about Pearsall today. I think a lot of people are going to worry. They're going to panic. They're going to be like, oh, man, I don't know if I could play Pearsall because of Mac Jones. Mac Jones fed BTJ last year. Pearsall will be just fine. Biggs, pick one. Penix, Danny Dimes, Stroud, Tua, Rodgers. Thank you. No problem, Migs. Look, Daniel Jones had a great week one, and I think Daniel Jones deserves a lot of credit for what he did against the Dolphins. I don't think, look, even the biggest Colts fan ever probably had zero thoughts that is how that game would have played out. I don't think any Colts fan would have even expected remotely what occurred on Sunday to have happened, and he played well. But now he has a significantly tougher matchup up against Denver. I don't really want anything to do with, look, I'm not touching Daniel Jones this week if I don't have to. I'm not playing Tua this week unless I have to. Based on what I saw to Stroud, I don't want to be playing Stroud either. So it'll be between Penix and Rodgers. And while Penix isn't like this prototypical rushing quarterback, that's just kind of not how his game was, at least in college, maybe now in the NFL. He will start to be more run heavy, but normally that's not like a transition that is made from college to the NFL where magically they start running the ball a lot more. I feel very good about Penix, though. I think that matchup has the upside to be very high scoring, and I like what I saw out of the weapons in Atlanta. It seems like, again, it's just one game, but it seems like Kyle Pitts is going to, be a more reliable piece of this offense. Darnell Mooney's going to be back. They have Drake London, so I feel very safe with my bet on Penix this week. He feels like a very safe play, so I would go Penix. Lester, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate you. In half PPR, you're going to pick two: Javonte, Warren, Dobbins, Keon Coleman. Great question. So I think you basically have to play Javonte Williams this week. Not because I think that Javonte Williams is guaranteed to be a top 10 running back at the end of the year, that Javonte Williams is a league winner, because frankly, I do have my question marks with Javonte Williams, right? Can Javonte Williams keep up that level of pace weekly? If I had to guess, the answer would be no. But when you have a matchup like this week up against the Giants, where I think the Cowboys are going to be beating them down, I think we're going to be getting late on into the game, and you're going to be seeing a lot of running from the Cowboys, and thus that's just going to keep giving Javonte free points. So Javonte is kind of a must start, in my opinion. And then Warren Dobbins, Keon Coleman. Personally, I would lean with Keon Coleman just because I think he has the most upside out of that group. Jaylen Warren's best game, if he goes nuclear, he's scoring like 15 points. Dobbins is kind of trapped in the backfield with RJ Harvey. He's the guy, but eventually they might cede the touches more to Harvey. So I would go with Keon Coleman. I do think, look, one game sample size isn't necessarily enough for me to say Keon Coleman's the clear wide receiver one in Buffalo. But based upon the fact that the reports before the game were, hey, we're thinking about really giving the ball a lot more to Keon Coleman, right? That's got to at least mean something. Okay. So I think Keon Coleman's pretty well thrusted into this offense, integrated into this offense. So I'd feel very good about Keon Coleman. So Keon and Javonte. Aaron Jones, Upskills, thank you so much for the super chat. Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, Charbonnet for the RB2. Also had Kittle, Fannin Jr., Strange this week. Both have decent matchups. Thank you. I would personally go with Strange because of the fact that, look, I think Fannin's going to be fine this week, but Strange has a really, really good matchup up against the Bengals. And if Trevor Lawrence can just halfway figure it out, last week, he was like 1/4 of the way to figuring it out, right? He was still shoving the fucking square thing into the circular hole, right? He can't figure it out. It's not working. It's hitting the side. He can't figure it out, right? The rectangle. If you were ever a kid and played with one of those things, I think it will get better. So the thought there definitely would be Strange for me. And then between Mason, Aaron Jones, and Charbonnet, I have them ranked Jones, Mason, Charbonnet. To me, it's basically a coin flip between Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. Charbonnet could be, there's 3 different scenarios for Charbonnet this week. There was only 2 different scenarios for Jones and Mason, right? Either Jones gets more of the touches or Mason gets more of the touches, and it's by a very slight margin, right? Whereas for Charbonnet, he could be the bell cow, he could be sitting on the fucking bench, or it's a kind of even snap split. And to me, there's just too many outcomes with Charbonnet. I think your safest bet here, Upskills, would be Mason. I think if I had to guess, Mason probably sees more touches than Jones, but I think Jones will get more pass catching looks. And I think it's more than likely that Jones of the 2 would be the one that actually scores the touchdown. So if it's my team, I'm going Aaron Jones and I'm going Strange. I think if you want to be as safe as possible, you play Mason and Strange. Ricky, thank you for the super chat. Nick Davidson, I appreciate you. Ricky P or Hollywood Brown, flex full PPR. Great question. Now, my opinion on Ricky Pearsall this week is just going to be very simple. Ricky Pearsall is the number 1 wide receiver on the 49ers, and they have a lot of injuries, and they are going to have to throw the ball a ton because I don't think the offense is going to work as well without Brock Purdy. We saw Mac Jones last season force feed the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. He was just closing his eyes and forcing the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. Now, I'm not saying that Ricky Pearsall's as good as BTJ. I think if I was to make that argument, there would be a lot of people on here that turn this stream off, be like, Nick, that's insane. I don't think that, but he's the quote-unquote BTJ of this offense. He's the most skilled wide receiver on the team. So Brock Purdy's going to force him the ball a ton. I feel very, 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 very good about Ricky Pearsall this week, so I'd go Ricky. Jerry Jeudy or Devontae Smith? Great question. I lean with Devontae Smith. I do kind of have some reservations, or reservation like it's at like a fucking restaurant. I do have some worries about Jerry Jeudy. Last week, I didn't love what I saw. I kind of started to see, hey, this is the Jerry Jeudy from the Browns that is dropping passes. This is the Jerry Jeudy from the Browns that doesn't look as open. I have some worries. Again, is it DEFCON 5? Wee woo, wee woo. If you play him, you're an idiot. No, right? It's not the end of the earth, but I am a little bit worried, and I think you guys should be too. Devontae Smith, I get he didn't get a lot of targets last week, and there's always a chance that he gets straight up iced out because the offense doesn't really throw the ball. And that's going to be something that you are going to have to deal with constantly if you are a Devontae Smith owner, which is kind of why I was pretty off on Devontae Smith this summer. I'm not saying if you drafted Devontae Smith, you're an idiot, but it's just something you're going to have to deal with. I think I would lean with Devontae Smith if I'm being honest with you. I think it's close. I think it's very close. I have Devontae 27, Judy 32 in the same tier. I would lean with Devontae Smith because I think up against the Chiefs, they're just going to have to throw the ball more. Biggs, thank you for the super chat. DJ Moore or Agbuka. Also, Butte, Keenan Allen, or QJ, thank you. Now, look, I am not going to sit here and say that Quentin Johnston is guaranteed to be a one-hit wonder because when you make statements that strongly, to me, I think you're just kind of potentially biting yourself in the ass, at least as a fantasy analyst that I am, right? Just a guy that talks about fantasy football, being so strong in the way of saying like Quentin Johnston guaranteed that he fails, right? Because look, do I think Quentin Johnston's the most skilled player in the NFL? No. Has he been super consistent in the NFL? No. Could he become more consistent with Herbert playing better, with, Harbaugh? Yes, I think it is possible. But in my personal opinion, I think that Keenan Allen's more than likely going to be the wide receiver 2 every single week on the team, and he's more than likely going to be very reliable for your fantasy team every single week. I'm not saying he's always going to go out there and score a touchdown or two, but he is going to be a very, very, very reliable, plugged-in piece of this offense that's going to be seeing a ton of work. So I think Keenan Allen isn't necessarily a must-start because for me, to be a must-start, you need to be like a top 18, top 20 level wide receiver for me to be like, I'm just plugging you in, pause every single week. But when push comes to shove, in my opinion, I think the smartest move here would be to play Keenan Allen. I think he's going to be very reliable. And then DJ Moore versus Egbuka is pretty close to a toss-up for me, but I would lean with Egbuka up against the Texans. DJ Moore just kind of feels like he could potentially score like 7 points, whereas I think Egbuka's floor is a little bit higher, and both of the matchups aren't the most ideal, so I would just lean with the guy I believe is safer. So I'm going to Egbuka and Keenan Allen. Jason, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Keon Coleman, Fannin, Juwan Johnson, or Benson. Now, look, Benson had a good week, number one. I just don't think Trey Benson's going to be very reliable for you. Sure, if it is back against the wall, you need to start someone, and you told me that you started Trey Benson, there are definitely worse, lower level options than Trey Benson. So I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, if you play Trey Benson, you're an idiot. But look, James Conner's still the guy. So Trey Benson would be instantly eliminated, in my opinion, from this. I would go with Juwan Johnson. The guy saw so many targets last week. I'm not sure how repeatable that is, but I also think Fannin could end up being a one-hit wonder last year like we saw with Likely. Again, people will go against me with that, and I'm not saying it's a guarantee that we see that, but I would prefer to go Juwan Johnson and Coleman. Coleman did look like the number one wide receiver on the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are an offense that you want pieces of because the upside is just so significant weekly. If they're able to put up a big game up against the Jets, this could be a game that is the highest scoring game of the week, right? This could be a game where each team scores 30 plus points, right? And I think you just want access to that on your team instead of going for like Fannin, who, the Browns could score 7 points. Would anyone be surprised if that was the case? Probably not, right? No one's going to come back here on Monday and be like, Nick, the fucking Browns scored 8 points. I can't believe that happened, right? No one's going to be like, I cannot believe that happened. So I'm going to go with Keon Coleman. I feel pretty good about Keon Coleman this week. So that would be my personal lean. So Keon Coleman and Juwan Johnson. Thank you guys for all of the messages and the super chats. I appreciate you. Back down here. Who do I flex? Calvin Ridley, T-Mac, or Javonte? I would go Javonte. Is Tongs worth playing at tight end? No. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that Tongs can't do anything. He did score last week, but if you've been playing fantasy for a while and you've been a George Kittle owner, I can't be the only person that's attempted to plug in George Kittle's backup, and it has never worked. It has historically been a stupid decision that I have made multiple times before because, oh, it's the Kyle Shanahan offense. Oh, it's going to work, right? Because he's the backup tight end on the team. It's a system. It works. No, it's just George Kittle is really fucking good. So, look, if you have to play Tongs, I could see him falling ass backwards into the end zone. I could see Tongs having a decent game, but ultimately, do I want to be firing up Tongs? Probably not, right? That would kind of be my lean would be not to have to do so. Allen or Hollywood, I would go Allen. ETN, Higgins, MHJ. I'd go Hollywood actually, but I think Allen's a little bit safer. ETN, Higgins, MHJ, or Kamara. I have Jamar Chase as my wide receiver one. I would go ahead and play. Oh, that's tough. I think I'd go ETN. Drop Jaden Higgins for closer here. I think that's fine. I think Jaden Higgins has league winner written all over him, but it's too early on in the season for that to even be uncorked yet because the team just doesn't seem to want to actually give him that workload. If you get what I'm saying, like the team just didn't give him enough snaps for that to be the case. So I would probably look to stay away from Higgins right now. So that's fine. Igbuka season facts. James Conner or Tony Pollard? I'm going James Conner. All right, I'm getting Michael Mayer, my league, in case Brock Bowers doesn't play. I think Brock Bowers does play, but it is questionable. I had to change my team name to Big Cock from Big Cock Brock to Herbert the Pervert. Respect. Yeah, it's a shame that Brock Purdy got hurt. Right now, it's not looking great for next week either, based on what I read. I'm going to try to pull up the actual article because I don't like just saying things without like a true source, right? So you guys know exactly what I'm saying. 49ers are not optimistic Brock Purdy will return from his toe injury for the week 3 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, but it's not out of the question, and he has improved. We'll see next week. Next week will be tight, but he progressed a lot this week. So, like, look, I don't think next week we should be locking in Brock Purdy as a lock to play next week, right? I just don't think that's the case. But I do think that Brock Purdy will be back, but he's not going to miss 8 games. Okay, he's not going to miss half the fucking season. At least that's what it would seem like. Now, again, I guess you can't ever fully believe anything that Kyle Shanahan says, right? Based on the fact that he completely diddled us last season, but I do think things will be a little bit better at the very least this year with Kyle Shanahan's reporting. Hopefully. All right. So I like that team name, Justin Herbert, the Pervert, baby. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Ryan. John, thank you for the super chat. Make sure you drop your question in chat. If you tried to type in like any slashes or tildes or something, that's probably why it didn't work. If I'm being honest with you, if you tried to put if you just tried to put something, it didn't work. Tyreek or Moore for the rest of the season. I still want Tyreek. Kenneth Walker or Montgomery. Kenneth Walker. Start 2 and let me see if John left a question before. Maybe I'm missing it. All right, just put your question in chat, please. Start 2.5 PPR. Keenan, Ridley, Pollard, Charbonnet. Would you drop Caleb Johnson for Quentin Johnson? Unless you dastardly need a receiver, I'm not dropping Caleb Johnson yet. No, just put your question in here, John. You don't have to super chat the question. You super chat, just put your question in chat and I'll answer it. It's not your fault. That happens probably 10 times a stream, so don't feel bad about that. Just leave your question in chat and I'll answer it. I got your name in my brain. I would play Keenan and Pollard. Michael, thank you for the super chat. Big Penix or T-Law? I would play Penix. Now, I think Trevor Lawrence should have a huge game. I think Trevor Lawrence should go out there and put up an amazing performance up against the Bengals. Because why couldn't he, right? He has all of the pieces around him to do it. He has the coaching. He was the number 1 overall pick a couple years ago. He's this great talent, the best talent since Andrew Luck. I thought that last week. Not so hot up against the up against the Panthers, and the Panthers aren't this great defense. So look, am I saying if you play Trevor Lawrence, you're an idiot? No. I think the range of outcomes for Trevor Lawrence is very up and down. I could see Trevor Lawrence going out there and scoring 10 or 11 points. I could see him going out there and scoring 25 points. So I can see like very good, very bad outcomes out of Trevor Lawrence. Whereas Penix, I think probably gets you 15 to 20 points and you feel fine about it. I would rather go with Penix. I like Penix's matchup this week. I think that's going to be a higher scoring game. So I'm going Penix. A lot of people will tell you to play Trevor Lawrence because, oh my God, the matchup against the Bengals is so good. But again, the matchup up against the Panthers last week was amazing. I was so happy to be able to use him. And then, of course, he just fucking sucks. So I'd rather go Penix personally. John, thank you again for the super chat. Keenan, Jacoby, or Judy? I would go with Jacoby. Just seems like the Raiders are going to keep feeding him the ball. He's going to be a very reliable asset week in and week out. Geno Smith looks competent. I don't think Geno Smith looks elite or anything, and I don't think he ever will be elite, but he looks good enough. So that's what I would go ahead and play Jacoby Myers. I feel very good about Jacoby Myers every single week. He just feels like a super safe click weekly. So he would be my bet there, would be Jacoby Myers. Jack, thank you for the super chat. Andrews, Bannon, or Ingram? Look, I think it's very tough for me to sit Mark Andrews after one down game. Like, I find it close to almost impossible to do that because, again, when Andrews is healthy, he's one of the best tight ends in the NFL. I understand. Last week didn't look good. That playoff game where he had the drop didn't look good. But last season, he had a bunch of very, 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 very big games. The Browns matchup is easy. They're going to get him the ball. Again, do I feel the best this week? Not necessarily, but I do think you can't jump ship on Andrews just yet. So I'm rolling with Andrews one more time. If Andrews fucks us over this week, then we can just not cut him, but, throw him to the bench, play Evan Ingram, But after one game, I'm still sticking with Andrews. Bow Rogers, thank you for the super chat. Good morning to you as well. PPR, I need to fill wide receiver, flex, tight end, Mike Evans, Jacoby Myers, Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins, Harvey, 0.25 points per attempt for running back, Njoku or Hunter Henry at tight end. Okay, so I'm going to go with Njoku. Again, after one down game, we're not just completely abandoning our my prior assumption on to Njoku is that he's the best tight end on his team. I still believe that. He's going to get a lot of usage. I still believe that. So I am not going to give up after just one down game with him. I'm rocking with Njoku. If you want to just pencil in 9 to 10 points, you just play Henry. If you want more upside, you play Njoku. So I would play Njoku. And then you need a wide receiver flex, and a tight end. And it's 0.25 points per attempt for running back, which does throw a wrench into things here. I would go, man, I think you could consider playing Mason because the 0.25 points per attempt. But again, it could go very up and down weekly between the two. So I think your best bet is just to go Evans and Jacoby. Evans should be the number one target in Tampa Bay. I think he'll bounce back after last week. Jacoby is the number one wide receiver on the Raiders. These are two very safe options. And Evans in any given game could be the wide receiver number one, right? Because of the amount of touchdowns that he could just, find out of his behind, right? Randomly. That's just kind of how he is. So I would go Evans and Jacoby. I think Mason would be in consideration, but again, it feels like you're kind of just getting very, very cute if you play Mason at this point in the season. So it's Evans, it's Jacoby, and it's Njoku. But if you want to be safe, go ahead and play Henry. Nicodamus, thank you for the super chat. Starting St. Brown and BTJ as the wide receivers. Should I flex MHJ, Evans, Egbuka, Garrett Wilson, full PPR? Your wide receiver room is stacked. In my opinion, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that are, in my opinion, startable basically every single week. So my rankings have St. Brown wide receiver 7, BTJ wide receiver 8, MHJ wide receiver 14, Evans 17, Egbuka 20, Wilson 12. So all 6 of the guys you just listed are inside of the top 20. which basically means every single week you are going to be very confused. Because your team is that good, it's not just set it and forget it, right? A lot of people have teams where, you just know who you're playing basically every single week. Unless there's a disaster or a crazy matchup, you're kind of just sticking with the same guys. In your scenario, you're going to be thinking of different guys to play every single week. But for me, I would go ahead and lean with Garrett Wilson. Looked great in week one. Matchup against the Bills could be very high scoring, could end up being the highest scoring game of the week. Justin Fields looked good. Garrett Wilson looked good. I feel very, 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 very good about Garrett Wilson this week. I feel good about all the wide receivers that you listed, but I'll lean with Garrett Wilson. He's my highest ranked guy. Again, I like the matchup a ton up against the Bills. David, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Good morning, handsome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good morning to you as well. I'm sure you're quite the handsome fellow as well. Half PPR, choose two, Pickens, Cedric Tillman, Butte, Hunter, Ridley. Great question. Now, there was a report today. Someone mentioned it in chat. I didn't read it out loud because I'm just answering all super chats, that Travis Hunter is going to be playing more defense this week, which makes sense, right? When you're going up against a team like the team they're going up against, which is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals, where they have Jamar Chase, they have T. Higgins. I think you do kind of have to be a little, they're going to just play him more on defense because of that. Now, I don't see him playing a lot of defensive snaps, if I'm being honest with you. He didn't play a single one last week, so maybe he clocks in a couple more, but I don't think ultimately that would be kind of the dagger in his back in this week. Now, if we get deeper and deeper into the season and he's playing a lot more defense, and it's like, okay, now we have to have a lot of concerns about starting him in our fantasy lineup, then that's when we panic, but not yet, in my opinion. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and play Hunter. Again, the matchup up against the Bengals is so easy. Realistically, Hunter should get a lot of targets. This should be back and forth, rock'em sock'em robots, real steel, back and forth game. I'm very ashamed that I fell asleep last night before Canelo versus Crawford. I bet on it. I wanted to watch it. I was so excited. And there's too much filler time between each fight that I fucking fell asleep. During the UFC, that never happens. I'll be up until like 2 a.m. watching the UFC. But it was like they have like a podcast in between each game. It's unbelievable. Yeah, make sure you guys do click the like button. But I would go ahead and play Hunter. I think he's like a must. And I'm going to go with Pickens because I think Pickens is going to bounce back this week. I do have my questions because this could be a beatdown. And the best case for Pickens is the Cowboys defense sucks. So they're getting beat down, they're losing, and they have to throw the ball a ton late in the game. That's best case for Pickens, which it won't necessarily be this game. So if you want to be, a little bit more out there, you could go Hunter and Tillman, but I'm going to go Hunter and Pickens. I'm going to run it back. Again, one bad week doesn't ruin me. So Pickens and Hunter for me. Half PPR, pick two. Thank you again, David. Jason, thank you for the super chat. Half PPR, pick two. Adams, Myers, Pickens, McMillan. Other league, pick two. Adams, Metcalf, Allen, McMillan. Thank you. No problem. No problem. No problem. Okay. I'm going in the half PPR league. The first one, we're going to go Adams. I'm not ready to sit Adams yet. He looked good last week. He didn't have like a big game, but to me, he looked good. Like he didn't look old, right? So I don't think you should really be worried about Adams. So I think you just stick with Adams. And then, look, my opinion here, very simple. It's Adams and either McMillan or Myers. Your safest bet is you play Myers. He's going to get you 10 plus points. You're happy about it. He's not going to screw you over. McMillan, I loved what I saw, though. I love what I saw. I think Bryce Young's better than what we saw last week. I think that he's going to bounce back. So I'm going McMillan. I'm going Tedero, McMillan, and Adams. The other league, Adams, Metcalf, Allen, McMillan. Thanks. Thank you again. I'm going Metcalf and Adams. I like what I saw to Metcalf last week as well. Just another guy that didn't percolate on the scoring sheet, but he looked good out there. The Aaron Rodgers looked very good. The offense looked very good. Again, week one is notoriously a liar, so you don't want to take too much and just bet it on, oh, wow, week one's going to repeat. They're going to do the exact same thing in week one, right? But that's just kind of how I think about things. So I'm going to go Adams and Metcalf. I don't think you can sit Metcalf or Adams, and then Adams and McMillan. Your safer bet, though, if you want to go Adams and Myers, I'd be fine with that, too. Thank you again for the super chat. I appreciate you. Mac, thank you so much for the super chat. I'll find your question. I assume you dropped it in here as well. It might be before. Shit, there's been so many questions. All right, let me just go on to YouTube. Mac, drop your question in chat. You might have to just drop it again if I can't find it. Control F, Mac. Return of the Mac. No, I don't see it on my end. So you're gonna have to drop it again in the chat if I can't find it, because I don't have the other YouTube page open. I'm gonna keep scrolling for half a second, and then we'll just go to the next question, and then Mac can drop it in chat, and I'll answer it. Thank you, Mac. I appreciate you. Just looking for a big M. There it is. There it is. Thank you, Mac. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Mac said, Keon Coleman, RJ Harvey, Jordan Mason, Calvin Ridley, Olave Coleman, full PPR. Great question. I'm going Keon Coleman for the first one. I am not ready to jump onto the RJ Harvey train just yet. I think RJ Harvey is very good. I think RJ Harvey is going to potentially be a league winner. I think RJ Harvey in a Broncos offense that should be able to score as many points as the Denver Broncos offense can. That's going to be great for fantasy. But again, it's week 2. They still want to use Dobbins more. So he's kind of just not an ideal start. Keon Coleman, again, the matchup is not the most desirable, but again, I think that could be a very high scoring game. Keon Coleman does seem to be the wide receiver 1 on the team. And again, some people say, Nick, that's a huge overreaction to just one game, but there were a bunch of reports coming out before week 1 that he was going to be the guy. So I like Keon Coleman a ton. I'm going to go Keon Coleman. And then Ridley, Olave, Coleman. I'm going to go Ridley. I would be hard-pressed to see Ridley not bounce back. Cam Ward looked bad week 1, and that kind of just hurt the offense because he was going up against the Broncos. I told you guys up against the Broncos he was going to struggle, and spoiler alert, he did. I think he bounces back. So I'm going to go Ridley and Keon Coleman. Gail Flores, thank you for the super chat. For running back 2, full PPR, start Jalen Warren or Henderson. For tight end, start Strange against the Bengals or high target Jawan Johnson. Great question. So I'm going to go with Jawan Johnson for the tight end. Chris, I got you, brother. Thank you. I will get that in the chat once I get to you. We're just a couple behind. So Jawan Johnson would be my bet. I just think I feel safer about a guy that I think probably projects for 8+ targets compared to Strange. I like Strange a lot this week. I love the matchup for Strange. I think Strange is going to put up a decent game, but I would just go with the safer bet of Jawan Johnson. And then a running back, I'm going Henderson. It seems like the coaching staff wants to switch things up. Seems like the coaching staff wants to give the ball more to Henderson. Based on the reports that I read this week, it seems like they're kind of tired of Ramondre, which, you know, most people were probably tired of Ramondre after last season. So that makes sense. I think we're going to see a lot more Henderson in this game. I think that you will see a bunch of dump offs go his way. And again, he's the kind of guy that all it takes is literally one target behind the line of scrimmage. Like we saw Bijan last week. He gets a dump off. He goes 50 yards into the end zone. We could see the exact same thing out of Henderson on any given play. So I feel good about Henderson. I feel good about Jawan Johnson. I think that would be your best bet in full PPR. Christopher Gilmore, thank you for the super chat. Pick 2, Devontae Smith, Javonte Williams, Diggs, Mason. Great question. So Javonte Williams is a must start in my opinion this week. Again, I am not 100% sold. I'm not 100% sold that Javonte Williams is the league winner, that he's going to weekly put up top 10 production. I actually don't think that. But what I do think is that when you go up against the Giants, if there ever was a time for him to repeat, have that big game, drop it down low, would be this week up against the Giants. And then I would go with Devontae Smith. I just feel pretty good about Devontae Smith bouncing back. I just don't really think we're going to be used to him scoring that few amount of points. I think he's going to be a lot safer than that going forward. So I'm not cutting bait in Devontae Smith. So we go Devontae Smith and Devontae. Ken and Audrey, Royal Roots LLC, thank you for the super chat. AJ Brown, Egbuka, Tyreek Hill, or Pearsall, sit one. I think I would have to sit Tyreek Hill out of that group. I don't want to sit Tyreek Hill because I think Tyreek's going to bounce back. But there are so many questions with the Dolphins. Like, have the Dolphins just tapped out already? Have they tapped out? Have they given up? Did they not have it? Like, is Tua just going to be a complete and utter disaster this season? It's possible. Is Mike McDaniel not able to figure anything out? It's possible. And maybe Tyreek just gets shipped off to a different team. Ricky is the clear wide receiver 1 on his team. Mac Jones feeds the wide receiver 1. We saw it last year with BTJ. Egbuka looked very good in his rookie debut. AJ Brown, I'm not sitting him after one down game. So sadly, Tyreek Hill's the odd man out. Smokehat, thank you for the super chat. Happy PPR. Thinking about starting London and Pickens, then flexing T-Mac, Charbonnet, or Ridley. Also, someone sent me a trade. JCM for Waddle. I'd get Waddle. Okay, so after what we saw in week number 2 with JCM, so JCM isn't getting used up against the Packers. It's weird. It was really weird usage from him. Eckler did not look good at all. They were giving him a lot of short yardage carries. He was on the struggle bus. He couldn't get any action, and it was hard to watch, frankly, as someone that had JCM on I bet on him to score a touchdown. He didn't score, obviously, because they didn't use him. But Eckler going down, obviously, that sucks. Eckler genuinely does seem like one of the nicest players in the NFL. He's a big advocate for fantasy football. So shout out to Austin Eckler. It sucks that his career might be over because of that. But again, it does elevate JCM heavily. The Dolphins might just be dead. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, they might be terrible. I hope they bounce back. I think they should beat the Patriots, but they might not. I'm keeping JCM. Honestly, I think he's going to be getting a lot of touches. A lot of touches. So go JCM. JCM, I'd keep him. So if you're going to flex one, I'm flexing T-Mac. He looked very good in his first game. Bryce Young did not, but that will get figured out. Charbonnet is a huge risk. Ridley, I love Ridley, but the matchup is like supreme. So I'd go T-Mac and I would keep JCM. Rasa. I apologize again if I get anyone's name wrong. It's my fault. I am a terrible, notoriously terrible at pronunciation. So I apologize. Thank you for the super chat. Long question. That's okay. Full PPR. Myers, St. Brown, Keenan Allen, Hollywood, or Tillman for 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. Do I wait for Bowers or play Strange? Lastly, 2 running backs, Hall, Montgomery, Pacheco, or Chubb. Thank you. No problem. So my opinion is what you're going to do is you're going to play Bowers. I think Bowers is going to play. But if for some reason he doesn't play, you just cut Strange and you pick up Michael Myers, right? And you just play him because look, do I think that Michael Mayer is like the best option at tight end if Bowers is down? No, like of course not. But he's serviceable. He would be a serviceable tight end that if you needed 6 points, he could get for you. He could score 10 plus points. So that's what I would do. So I'm playing Bowers and I'm probably just cutting Strange and picking up Mayer. Unless your league, after the guy plays, you can just cut him outright and pick up Mayer. That's what I would do. And so we're going to play Bowers, pick up Strange, full PPR, Myers, St. Brown, Allen, Hollywood, Tillman. Start 2 in a flex. We're starting Myers. We're starting St. Brown. You can't start, you have to start St. Brown. You're not sitting St. Brown for one game. You're not sitting Jacoby Myers based on what we saw last week. Then it's between Keenan, Hollywood, or Tillman. Keenan is the safest bet. Hollywood has a little bit more upside because he's just like the number 1 receiver on the team. I lean Hollywood. So St. Brown, Myers, Hollywood. I'm playing Bowers. And then I'm playing Hall. You can't sit Hall. And then I'm not dealing with the Pacheco or Chubb bullshit because that's just like very confused. Like it's going to be very confusing. So your best bet is to just juke out the confusion and just play Hall and Montgomery. So Hall, Montgomery, Jacoby, St. Brown, Hollywood, Bowers. That's your answer. Thank you again. Ron Real TV, thank you so much. Rank these tight ends, Ingram, Njoku, Pitts. Great question. I'm going to just read all of my rankings and then give you some reasoning. What's up, culture? All right. I have Njoku, 9. Ingram, 10. Pitts, 12. With tight ends, you have 3 guys basically in the exact same range, which basically is just a toss-up. But the reason why I have them ranked that way, Njoku against the Ravens, they should be down. They should be down in the game, having to throw the ball late, which is going to lead to Njoku potentially getting a bunch of garbage time points. Fannin, definitely a real deal type of player. They run a lot of 2 tight end sets. So even if Fannon's out there playing well, it's not like Fannin is just completely cucking David Njoku. It makes it like Njoku's not on the field, right? They're both going to be on the field at the same time. So that's not really like a huge worry. Evan Ingram, not the best week 1. People are telling me that, I'm going to cut Evan Ingram. You can't cut Evan Ingram after one game where he gets hurt. If he's healthy, which he seems to be on a Broncos team that projects to be as good as they are, that didn't look so good in week number 1. Like, I would just think they bounce back offensively, look a lot better. Saw like Ingram up against the Colts. Again, I don't think the Colts are that great of a defense. Just had a great game because the Dolphins suck. And then I have Pitts at 12, just because Pitts, there's still that worry, right? He left that bad taste in your mouth for 4 straight years in a row. It's scary. So I would prefer to go Njoku. So that'd be my lean. Hodag Dungeon, thank you for the super chat. Hollywood or Ridley or Kenneth Walker in the flex? Thanks, cutie. No problem. So the way I look at this question is very simple. If you are okay potentially getting pile drived through the earth, you play Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker is still the lead back in Seattle. And this is not coming as like some copium, as like some Kenneth Walker advocate who is sitting here every day in the summer saying, oh, you got to draft Kenneth Walker, because that wasn't me. No problem, Ron. That was not me. I was not that guy that was telling you that. There were other people telling you that. I'm not saying they were stupid. It just wasn't me. So if you drafted him that highly, I'm probably sticking with Kenneth Walker. That's how I would rock with it. But if you want to be safer, you just play Hollywood. He's going to get 1,000,000 targets. He'll score you at least 10 points. But personally, I would go Kenneth Walker because, again, I'm not nose diving off the edge of the earth on Kenneth Walker after one game. Julie Ann Madrigal, thank you for the super chat. Good morning. Good morning to you as well. I have 2 spots. Should I start Montgomery, McMillan, or Keenan Allen? Definitely go McMillan. And then I would probably lean Keenan Allen. McMillan, just because the fact that he's the clear number 1 on the Panthers. Again, I get it didn't go the best last week. I get it didn't, go perfectly. It didn't go as I planned, right? In my envisioning of the game, when I closed my eyes, I thought about the Panthers versus the Jags. I thought of a big back and forth rock'em sock'em robots affair where a bunch of scoring occurs, when in reality, the Carolina Panthers did nothing. They looked terrible. They looked like one of the worst teams in the NFL. Bryce Young looked lost. Like, there's a clip of him watching, like, you ever been to a football game or like a baseball game, a hockey game, where they have like stupid shit that they put on the Jumbotron where it's like, oh, which cup is the ball under? And they switch the cups around. Bryce Young is sitting there like a fucking toddler watching like Coco Melon or something, just watching that. It's like, what are you doing? You got to lock in, buddy. This is the NFL, okay? You got to pay attention. But I think McMillan's better than that. So I like McMillan. And now I'm going Keenan Allen just because, like, Montgomery is losing his touches. He's a fine start. He's going to be fine. He can score touchdowns. But I just feel better with Keenan Allen. So Keenan Allen and McMillan. Full PPR. Pat or Herbert at quarterback and Zay or Mecca at flex. Great question. Now, for me, thank you, Mill Ticket. I appreciate you. For me, Pat versus Herbert, I lean with Justin Herbert because I like the matchup against the Raiders more than I like Mahomes' matchup against the Eagles. I think Mahomes is a fine start, but Mahomes is probably going to backpedal into a good finish because they're going to be down, thus having to throw a bunch. And Mahomes could fall into, even if he doesn't look great for half the game, kind of like in the Super Bowl, he could fall into having a very good game. So I would still go with Herbert, though. Herbert just looked so good last week. Has some decent rushing upside as well. And I just feel a little bit safer about the projection of Herbert because his wide receivers are all healthy and Patrick Mahomes' wide receivers are in the hospital or they're in jail, right? Like Rashee Rice. Obviously, he's not actually in jail. You get the point, right? It's a joke. He's in, suspension. So I'd go Herbert. And then Zay or Mecca, that's a great question too. 2 great questions. Zay Flowers is my wide receiver 21. Emeka Egbuka is my wide receiver 20. Why do I have Emeka ranked ahead of Zay? Because realistically, last week was the prime Zay Flowers game, right? It's a back and forth shootout, bang, 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 back and forth game, super high scoring. Zay Flowers finds the end zone. He has that big game. This week, it's probably going to be them punching down, raining down blows onto like what Diego Lopez did last night to Gene Silva, where he gets in full mount and he's just dropping elbows, dropping raining punches, right? And if that's the case and they're up big on the Browns, what they're going to do is just run a lot with Derrick Henry. So Zay Flowers will have to get a lot of his work done early. Emeka, look, I get the Texans didn't look great, but like the Texans could keep that game close to where they have to throw a lot more. So I would lean with Emeka Egbuka. I like Zay Flowers a ton too, but I would go with Emeka Egbuka and I would go with Justin Herbert. Chris, I finally got to you. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to find your question in chat. This super chat was from 1102. So I'm going to scroll back up to 1102 because I saw you messaging and I will find your message. I will find you. All right. I found it. Emeka Egbuka, Travis Hunter, or Kenneth Walker. Thank you again for the super chat. I really appreciate you. Thank you to everyone that's watching. Just so you guys know, anyone that is new, I answer basically every single question that I possibly can. The super chats get moved up to the top, but I try to answer as many questions as possible. Spock, great guy, really good at fantasy. He answers questions in the chat too. So if Spock answers your question, that's a great answer. So we don't always agree, but he also helps out the chat. So shout out to Spock, shout out to all the mods that are in the chat. Super chats are always going to be answered first because people paid for it. That's why it works like that. Okay. I hope you guys understand. Emeka Egbuka, Travis Hunter, Kenneth Walker, or T Mac in my flex half PPR. Also, Mark Andrews or Fannin. I am running with Mark Andrews one more time. I don't give up after I pay the draft capital of Andrews, after I talked up Andrews as much as I did to give him the boot after one game. That's how I feel. Again, if he puts up 2 duds in a row, 3 duds in a row, then you start to really be like, okay, now it's time to play Fannin. Fannin did look very good. I'm playing Andrews, though. I'm not giving up on Andrews after just one down game. That's my thought. I just can't do it. If you can, go right ahead. I can't do that. Emeka Egbuka, Travis Hunter, Kenneth Walker, or T-Mac? That's a great question. Look, realistically, you paid the heavy draft capital to play Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is a big risk. Kenneth Walker could either be the lead back, he could be not the lead back, remotely close, or a very close split share. And that's going to be the worst case scenario, in my opinion. The best case scenario is one of the guys is clearly the guy, and then you can almost just give up on the other guy. Now, you wouldn't just drop Kenneth Walker, but it would be way easier psychologically every single week that this isn't a close snap share. But I'm probably going to go Emeka Egbuka just because I feel a lot more reliable about the amount of touches that he gets in half PPR. He looked really good last week. I could see him scoring multiple touchdowns again. He is my lean. And we're going to go much quicker on the Super Chats, by the way, because we're so far behind. But yeah, that would be my answer to your questions. I go Emeka Egbuka, and I would go with Andrews. Joe Williams, thank you for the Super Chat. Hey, bud, I'm back again. Thank you so much. PPR, Olave, J.K. Dobbins, Tyrone Tracy, star 2. You also have Wandale and Leggett. Great question. I'm going to be honest with you. When you play Wandale, all you are doing is basically putting 8 to 12 points in your lineup. Wandale will never be a week winner. Very unlikely that he scores a touchdown, has that huge game. He's probably also never going to be a week loser, but he's stuck to Russell Wilson. It doesn't feel great. Leggett, I like Leggett. I think Leggett does have upside deep down the season, but we're not touching Leggett with how Bryce Young looked. For me, it's Olave. Look, playing Olave gives you knots in your stomach. You feel disgusted that you even considered playing him because the guy was in the injury tent twice last week. He has a home, a tent, a bed inside the blue tent. But I'm playing Olave, and then I go with Dobbins because I think he's still the lead back on the team until further notice, and I feel good about Dobbins. I love Tracy. I thought he looked good. He has the clear lead, split lead above Scatterbo, but we're probably not going to be up enough to run the ball. So I would go Olave and Dobbins. I feel very good about that answer. Cooler hand, my man. Thank you for the super chat. Egbuka, Hampton, Pearsall, pick 2, Janu or Strange. Thanks, no problem. I like the amount of targets Janu got last week. I like that Arthur Smith likes Janu Smith. That was very clear. They traded for him because Arthur Smith loves Janu. Arthur Smith had Janu playing more than Kyle Pitts, if you guys remember, in Atlanta. But I feel better about Strange. I love Strange's matchup, and I think Strange is going to get more targets as the season goes along. I think he's going to just be safer than Janu right now because, again, Janu scored a touchdown, but he had like 5 catches for, 13 yards? That doesn't feel really repeatable. So I'm going to go Strange, and then Egbuka, Hampton, Pearsall. I like Hampton this week, but they're talking about using Najee more. I still think Hampton is startable. Like, I don't think Hampton's must sit panic mode, right? You're not just panic moding on Hampton. I got to rank this my RB19, but I think Pearsall, again, Mac Jones feeds the number 1 option. He's the number 1 option. He's getting fed. Egbuka, the number 2, but could be the number 1 up against the Texans. I just feel better about going Pearsall and Egbuka. If you want it to be a little bit safer, I think Hampton's a little bit safer than Egbuka, but I'm going Pearsall and Egbuka, and we're going Strange. Thank you for the super chat. Dame, thank you so much. In Dynasty, great question. You got offered Pacheco and Monty for Henry. Running backs I do have are Barkley, Chuba, Gibbs. Would you keep Henry or trade him? In my opinion, if you're going to trade Henry in Dynasty, I don't want Pacheco or Montgomery. Like, I want legitimate picks because your team, based on what I'm looking at here, looks like, based on the running backs you have, your team is set up to win now. Okay? Like, if you have Barkley, who's an unk, Henry, who's an unk, Gibbs is young, Chuba's young, right? So you have 2 unks. If your team is set up to win now, you don't want to get rid of Henry. If you think your team is going in the opposite direction, maybe there's a bunch of loaded teams, you would want to trade Henry for some picks. I'm not trading Henry for Monty, who I think is probably going to be useless a year or two from now, and Pacheco, who might be the third string running back on the Chiefs 2 years from now, right? Henry, he's inevitable. Until he retires, you're going to feel very good about playing him. So I would find it very, very, very hard to get rid of Henry for that return. So I would keep Henry personally. Personally. Julie Ann, thank you again for the super chat. PPR, I have 2 openings available. Do I start Montgomery, McMillan, or Allen? Thank you for the super chat. For me, it's McMillan and Keenan Allen. Montgomery is very safe, right? Montgomery is like the definition of safety. Like, if you were to fall down 2 steps of stairs, you wrap yourself in bubble wrap, you put on a fucking helmet, and you fell down those 2 stairs, right? Like, you're being as safe as possible, okay? You're bubble wrapping yourself. That's what Montgomery is. He gets 10 plus points. He could score multiple touchdowns because that's how good the Lions offense is, but they're peeling back his touches, giving more snaps to Gibbs. So to me, the smart move is to play McMillan, who's the wide receiver 1 on the Panthers. I know the Panthers didn't look great, but I think things are going to be better. And Keenan Allen, the wide receiver 2 on the Chargers. I like Keenan Allen a lot. And yeah, make sure you guys do hit the like button, by the way. It's free. Oh, this is an old one. It's like Lamb is out. That was like from years ago. Just hit that like button, but this one's the one that we actually want. Lamb is not out, by the way. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as well. We're at 43,000 subscribers. I would like to get to 50,000 by the end of the season. So yeah, Keenan Allen feels very safe. So I just feel better about Allen compared to Montgomery. And I just don't want to be playing Montgomery, if I'm being honest with you. Like, compared to these guys you have, Montgomery just feels like the meh pick, where the other guys just have so much more upside. Sammy, thank you for the super chat. Wait for Bowers, see what happens, or Andrews. Look, my opinion is I think that Brock Bowers is going to play. Now, if you asked me yesterday, I would have told you no. Why would I have told you no? Because Brock Bowers didn't practice on Friday, but then he practiced on Saturday, and the report is Brock Bowers is expected to play on Monday night, according to head coach Pete Carroll. Is Pete Carroll the most trustworthy source of information? Probably not. He's not like a notorious liar. He's not the biggest truther either, like Drake and Josh. But I do feel pretty good about Bowers playing. So I'm sticking with Brock Bowers personally. I'm sticking with Brock Bowers because you just feel so much better having Brock Bowers in your lineup compared to Mark Andrews. G6, I'm feeling so hot, fly like a G6. Thank you for the super chat. Shout out to Tony Soprano, Genty, or Connor. PPR, I'm going Connor. Look, I love Genty. I think Genty is a league-winning running back, but I think a lot of people are going to be getting ready after this week to sell Ashton Genty for a half-eaten thing of Pringles, for a couple goldfish, a Cheez-It or 2, because I think Genty is going to be the running back. Like last week, he was running back 24. This week, I've got him as running back 20. I think he's going to start off slow. Why do I think he's going to start off slow? The Chargers matchup is rock solid. That is one of the hardest run defenses to go against, in my opinion. And probably the opinion of most people that know about defenses. That would probably be my take. I assume Spock, he also thinks the Chargers have a great run defense, at least for fantasy. They are really good at stopping running backs in fantasy. They really had the Chiefs' run game locked up. I think the Raiders are going to be down to the Chargers, so they won't be able to run the ball as much. Genty is always live to score a touchdown. He looked all right in week 1. I like Genty. I'm not ready to cut Genty or trade him. Next week, he's like a big trade target for me because I think he's going to suck against the Chargers. Or just be mid. And not really suck, but just be mid because you drafted him so highly. He sucks for that, right? But he's just going to be mid. I'm going Connor. I love the matchup up against the Cardinals. James Conner is all reliable. Death taxes, James Conner scoring a touchdown. Death taxes, James Conner getting 15 plus fantasy points. He's just a beast. He's just different. So I'm going James Conner. Smoke Cat, thank you for the super chat. Pearsall, Coleman, Travion, great question. I think this is Travion week. I think this is the game where Travion breaks out. He's soaring. He's flying. Troy Bolton, Gabriella type deal. I think Travion Henderson is going to get his most amount of snaps this week. He's going to play the most. But there's still risk with that, right? There's still, while my inherent belief is that, while the coaches seem to think that, is the guarantee? No. Pearsall, clear wide receiver 1 on the 49ers. Again, Mac Jones last year revived Brian Thomas Jr. He revived him. He revived him. So I feel very, very good about Pearsall. And yeah, even if he was limited, Josh, the report from the head coach is that he's going to play. So that's why I believe he's going to play, because that's what the coach said. 1 second, guys. I would play Pearsall. Again, I just think Pearsall is going to get force fed the ball in this game. I just feel very good about his usage in the offense. So for me, it would just be Pearsall is just kind of a layup. Ali, thank you. Mahomes or Fields? Woo! Woo! Okay. So, Ali, great question. Thank you for the super chat. Your safest bet is Mahomes. Again, I don't like Mahomes this week. I don't love Mahomes this week, but Mahomes is going to get you a reliable amount of fantasy points, right? They're going to be down to the Eagles. They're going to have to throw the ball a ton late in the game, trying to catch up. Thus, Mahomes will be safe. Fields, you never know with Fields. You never really know with Fields. Fields could go out there and ball up against the Bills. I think the Jets could legitimately win that game up against the Bills. But I could also see them getting blown out. Okay. And Fields, he has that suck in him. Some people have the dog in him. He's got the suck in him. He might just be terrible this week. But I would lean with Fields because I think that's going to be a good game environment for Fields. They keep it close. He's going to be able to run the ball a bunch. I like Fields. 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex, 1 tight end. CMC, Kyron, Chuba, Ladd, Neighbors, Fannin, Ingram, Devontae, J-Mo. Who we starting, brother? All right, so Fields, I'm going to just type this out because this is a long question. Fields, we're going to go CMC. Can't sit CMC. Kyron versus Chuba. I have Kyron ranked higher, so we're going to go Kyron. You're not sitting Neighbors. You're not sitting Ladd. So those guys are going in. Now the question is flex and tight end. Fannin or Ingram? I'm going Ingram. And then at flex, we're going Chuba. I feel really good about Chuba weekly, even if Bryce Young sucks ass. So we're going to go Fields, CMC, Kyron, Ladd, Neighbors, Chuba, Ingram. We're not overthinking things yet. It's week 2. Don't overthink things. Don't get cute. Don't get cute. I guess technically playing Fields above Mahomes is getting cute. I don't think so. I think I had Fields ranked ahead of Mahomes in my summer rankings. If not, they're in the same tier. So Fields, CMC, Kyron, Neighbors, Ladd, Ingram, Chuba. CMC, you just play him every week. Same thing with Kyron, Neighbors, and Ladd. Those are must starts. Ingram is kind of a toss up, but I think he bounces back. And I just feel way better about Chuba than I do with Devontae and J-Mo. And then Fields, I just think Fields is the better game. And we're going to answer quicker because we're behind. Randall, thank you for the super chat. ETN, Henderson, Warren, or Williams for the RB2. That's tough. But I think we're going to play Kyron. Kyron is a very reliable asset weekly. Kyron has a 5-star palatial estate inside of the end zone. He scores with ease. The matchup isn't the best, though, against the Titans. I think the Titans are a very, 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 very underrated defense, but I think he's so much safer than the other guys. All right, one second, guys. So I would go Kyron. I think Kyron's going to be very reliable game in and game out. If you want to get a little bit cuter, ETN has a way better matchup. But, after one game, I think I just prefer to play Kyron. Spoon, thank you for the super chat. Full PPR start 2. Hampton, Dobbins, Ricky, Pearsall. Great question. I'm going Hampton and Pearsall. I like Hampton's matchup. Again, I like Pearsall because he's going to get force-fed the ball. He's going to see a ton of targets, and he is going to look good. So I feel very good about Pearsall. Then Hampton versus Dobbins. Dobbins is in a snap share with Harvey. And Hampton is in a better offense. And Najee Harris is miles below Hampton. So to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Hampton feels a little bit safe. Pearsall, super high upside. I go Pearsall and Hampton, and Dobbins kind of just chilling on the bench. Connor Mackey, thank you for Connor. Okay, no, it's not his last name. It was a joke. 1 PPR, 1 wide receiver. Thank you for the super chat and a flex slot. Devontae Smith, he scares you. Egbuka, Hollywood Brown. All right. I'm gonna just so it's Devontae Smith, Egbuka, Hollywood, Roma Dunze, hoping for Higgins' bad week 2 to trade up this logjam. I would go. Yeah, Devontae Smith scares me too. I'm going Egbuka. Man, look, you said Devontae Smith scares you, so I'm not going to give Devontae Smith as the answer. You're going to go Egbuka, and you're going to go Hollywood Brown. Because look, again, you should, in my opinion, guys, I give you guys the answers. I answer your question. At the end of the day, if you listen to what I say and you're like, Nick, that's not going to happen. Nick, you have Devontae Smith ranked wide receiver 27, Hollywood ranked wide receiver 28, but I don't trust Devontae Smith. Then you don't play him. You don't play him, okay? You don't. You will feel so much better if you start the guy that you want to play. You will feel so much better, in my opinion. Even if you lose, you will feel like you made the decision, and you will just feel better about it. So, for me, I would go with Egbuka and Hollywood Brown. If it's my actual answer, it's Smith and Egbuka, but Smith and Hollywood are ranked back to back in my rankings, so just go with Hollywood. I just dropped my phone, by the way. That's what I went to pick up. Juwan Jennings active. So I'm going Egbuka and I'm going Devontae Smith. Feel very good about that answer. Feel very, very, very good. But you are going to go Hollywood and Egbuka because you're scared of Devontae, and that's fine. Penix or Rodgers or Mac Jones. Go with Penix, Dansky. I like Rodgers. I am ready to next week. If Rodgers plays well this week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back on here and say, you know what? It's Aaron Rodgers season, baby. Aaron fucking Rodgers is back. Aaron Rodgers has figured it out. Aaron Rodgers this, Aaron Rodgers that. I love Aaron Rodgers. Hey, what's up, AC? I'm ready to say that. But after one game, I'm not ready to come on here and be like, Rodgers is back. That's the Rodgers that we know and love. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not ready to do that yet. So I'm going Penix. Feel good about the matchup against the Vikings. What's up, Monty? Feel good about the matchup. Feel good about the high scoring upside. I am going Penix. I am going Penix. Penix over Rodgers and Mac. I don't want to play Mac Jones. Could Mac Jones be fine? Yes. I am not playing Mac Jones. It's week 2. You shouldn't have to play Mac Jones. We're going Penix. Daniel Esqueda, thank you for the super chat. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you as well. Hopefully your Dolphins look better. I hope so. I have been a Dolphins fan my whole life, and I will never quit. People are like, Nick, why don't you just pick a new team? Because I ain't built like that. I stick with my team. I stick with the team through the thick and thin, and it's always been bad. But maybe one year, when I'm on my deathbed, maybe then they'll figure it out. Need a wide receiver and a flex. Pittman, Jalen Warren, Shakir, Walker, Johnston. Appreciate you, bud. I appreciate you too. Need a wide receiver and a flex. All right. You got to play Kenneth Walker. You got to play Kenneth Walker in your scenario. You can't sit him. In my opinion, like a lot of you guys, some of you have other options. In this case, you don't have another option. You're playing Kenneth Walker. You are going to see if he goes out there and rides or dies. Like you're going to see if it works or not. Your team, you're going through that experience. You're playing Walker. I liked what I saw to Pittman against the Dolphins. The Denver Broncos are not the Miami Dolphins. The Denver Broncos have one of the best defenses in the NFL. The Dolphins have one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. Pittman could have that game. I just don't think so. Look, whoever the hell is going, like the receivers against the Broncos, unless it's like Jamar Chase or unless it's, Justin, whoever the best receiver in the NFL is, then I'll do it. YOLO. But like Ridley last week, you don't need to play Ridley. Pittman this week, you don't need to play Pittman. So I'm going Walker and I'm going Jalen Warren. I feel very good about a safety net game out of Warren. If you want to be a little bit more risky because you're playing Walker and you don't believe in him as much, so you want to go for more upside, you play QJ. But I'm going Jalen Warren and I'm going Walker. Walker, Texas Ranger. Silence syllable. Silenceable. 3 out of 4. Hampton. James Conner. Egbuka. Booga. Egbuka. Dude, I was crying when I saw a video of Flight saying that the NFL posted. James Conner. Lock him in. You never sit in James Conner. Egbuka. Lock him in. You ain't sitting Egbuka. And it's between McMillan or Hampton. I lean. Oh, that's tough. McMillan or Hampton. Look, I think Hampton's way safer. So if you want to go with the safer bet, you go Hampton. I think in my heart of hearts, I would lean McMillan, but we're gonna go Hampton, James Conner, and Egbuka. I think gun to the head is the notion that we used to always say. And that's the decision here, right? It's your last decision. You get to pick. And if it doesn't work, it's over. I'm going Hampton, James Conner, Egbuka. It's very, very, very close between McMillan and Hampton. Very, very close. Small margin. Very small margin. But I'm going Hampton, James Conner, Egbuka. I just feel safer with Hampton. Sue me. Salute, King. Salute to you, too. Mark, thank you for the super chat. Mark Andreotti. Thank you for the super chat. Aaron Jones or Charbonnet and Tyreek or Harrison. Look, I love Tyreek against the Dolphins. I think Tyreek is going to go out there. And I guess Tyreek's a bad guy to say, like, oh, he hits him with the left hook because pretty sure, Tyreek's history, he probably has done that before. But Tyreek, I think this is the smash coming out party for him. The glass break, Stone Cold Steve Austin, smash the beers together. I think that's going to happen. But let's be honest with you. Do you feel very confident in that? Like, do you feel very safe? No. So I'm going Maserati Marv looked great in week 1. I think he looks great this week. And then Aaron Jones or Charbonnet. I would just go Aaron Jones because I feel much safer about his touches. I think Charbonnet could be completely buried this week. I think Charbonnet could be the clear lead back or more of a 50-50. Yeah, he did. He did have more children last year than touchdowns. I have said that before, and that is a true fact. That is a true fact. All right, I was just answering a Patreon question. If you guys are on the Patreon, I answer all of the questions on there. I answer them all. And I get a lot of them. A whole lot of questions. So Aaron Jones, I just feel safer about. Next week, look, if Charbonnet is the guy next week, you're going to see me doing the Irish jig because I love Charbonnet, but not this week. We're going Aaron Jones and Harrison. Murray or May, Marquito TV. Thank you for the super chat. It's going to be Murray. It's going to be May, right? I set up for that joke. I set it up for that, and we juked you out. You thought I was going to say that, and I didn't. We're going Murray. Look, Murray last week, was he amazing? No. Is Murray going to have some huge blunders? Yes. But ultimately, I feel very good about Drake May for the rest of the season. I feel good about Drake May up against the Dolphins. But Murray, again, had a pretty okay game last week while being sick. And he has a good matchup this week against the Panthers that Trevor Lawrence just blundered and didn't have the big game, even though he should have. I feel very good about Murray. Kyler Murray is your answer. Becky, thank you so much for the super chat. 8-man PPR. Do I drop Baker for Fields? Oh, you were the one that left the I appreciate you on Patreon. I just answered your question on Patreon. So what I wrote back to you, and I always answer on Patreon, so don't feel a need to super chat. I just answer a bunch of super chats, then I'll respond to the Patreon in the middle stream. So personally, I would keep Baker. Personally, if it's my team, I'm keeping Baker because I think Baker is going to be a lot more reliable, a lot more sturdy for your team. And you just will never, like, when you play Baker, you never feel bad that you have to play Baker. When you play Fields, there's going to be a knot in your stomach that's like, oh my gosh, I have to play Fields, right? Now, if you can drop Baker and you think you can pick Baker back up, go ahead because I have Fields ranked ahead of Baker. But personally, I don't think I have the cojones personally to drop Baker because he just has all the weapons. He has the line in front of him. He's just going to be so safe weekly. It is an 8-team league, so you might want to go more upside base, but personally, I would keep Baker. Justin, half PPR, Andrews or Ingram, Ridley or Rome. Thank you, GOAT. Thank you. You the GOAT, Justin. Andrews or Ingram. Look, I'm going Andrews one more time. I'm giving Andrews one last chance before we pull the plug. A lot of people last season pulled the plug out of Andrews, pause, after a couple games, and then Andrews looked great down the stretch. If you want to be as safe as possible, you play Evan Ingram, right? Because Evan Ingram is going to be a lot more reliable. One second. He's going to be a lot more reliable this week. Like, I think he's a safer bet, but I go Andrews personally. I think Andrews is going to bounce back. And then Ridley or Rome. I have Rome ranked higher, I believe. I believe I have Rome ranked higher. I'm just going to double check. Win in Rome. Rome versus Ridley. I have Rome 34, Ridley 37. I think Ridley bounces back, but I feel a little bit better about Rome. So Rome and Andrews, and then Kelsey or Warren. Warren. And then Diggs, Booty, Tillman, Walker. I would go Walker. Average Bull, thank you for the super chat. Non-PPR, Butte, Pittman, Ridley, Swift. Great question. There are reports that Swift's going to be losing more of his touches to Kyle Monaghy. Will that happen? I don't know. Should it happen? Probably. Pittman, look, in non-PPR, I don't think I'm comfortable playing Pittman this week because I just don't think he's going to score, and I hate the matchup up against the Broncos. I would probably just go Ridley because I feel like this is the bounce back game for Ridley. So that would be my best guess. I would rank them Ridley, Butte, Swift, Pittman. Swift just seems like he's going to get him. He could get a million touches and just do nothing, which is exactly what happened last week. So I'm going Ridley. Crimson Cape, thank you for the super chat. One running back, one flex, Pollard, Jalen Warren, and T-Mac. Let's go Pollard and T-Mac. I think Pollard bounces back after last week. Much better matchup this week. Warren, again, he's just like a safety net you cast out there. You get your 10 points, and you're probably not feeling much better than that, but, you got your 10 points. T-Mac, he could go bust, but he could go boom. And I think this is a really good matchup for T-Mac. And had Bryce Young not have been legally blind, he would have scored a touchdown in his first game. So, yeah, I will go ahead and go T-Mac, and I will go Pollard. Yeah, so I would go Pollard and T-Mac. I just feel the best about that. I feel the best about that. I again, like, Warren is fine. I just feel way better about T-Mac and Pollard. All right. Next question. James, thank you for the super chat. Henderson, Alvin Kamara, or AJ Brown, Jacoby Myers, pick 3 no matter the order. Okay. You can't sit AJ Brown. I appreciate that, J. Rod. You cannot sit AJ Brown. And thank you, Ross. You can't sit AJ Brown. You can't sit Alvin Kamara. Can't sit Alvin Kamara. So those two are just locked in because you can't sit them. Then it's Jacoby versus Henderson. I think this is the Henderson coming out party. I think Henderson's going to have a big game, a huge game, I might add. But I think I think Jacoby Myers is so much safer. Go ahead and go Jacoby Myers. That's just how I would lean. He's safer. They have probably, well, I guess Henderson has like legitimately 30-point upside. I don't really think Jacoby has that in him. But against his second game, they might still screw us. They might still diddle us, not give him the correct amount of workload. So I'd go Jacoby. I'd go AJ Brown and Alvin Kamara. Ernesto, thank you for the super chat. Half PPR, pick a flex, Keon Coleman, Calvin Austin, Kenneth Walker, Keyshawn Butte, Njoku or Hunter Henry, Chuba or Kamara, Higgins, Sutton, T-Mac, Adunze, Javante, great or JMO. The answer to this question is pick a flex, Kenneth Walker. If you don't want to play Kenneth Walker, which is perfectly fine. Here, when did you? Did I not answer your super chat? I'm trying to scroll all the way down. I'm gonna just pin this message so that I have it. Scroll all the way down. I'm gonna answer your question, Julie. I think I already answered it, but I'm gonna answer it again in a second. So I go with Kenneth Walker. If you don't want to play Kenneth Walker, which is fine. If you don't want to play Kenneth Walker, if you don't want to play the dice roll game, you don't play Kenneth Walker and you go Keon Coleman. Great spot against the Jets, potentially very high scoring. Not the best match. What's up, Dab God? I like Keon Coleman a lot. I would play Walker though. If you don't want to play Walker, play Coleman. Njoku or Henry, I'm rocking with Njoku one more week. Henry's way safer. Henry's like one of the safest tight ends in fantasy. He will never score 15, 20 points, but he's always going to get to like 10 or 12. You're going to feel fine about it. But I'm going Njoku again. I'm not quitting after one game. Chuba or Kamara, I have Chuba. I like his matchup better. And I feel very good about what I saw from Chuba last week, even though Chuba Even though Bryce Young looked like shit, Chuba still played well. And then Higgins, Sutton, T-Mac, Adunze, Jay Will. Even if that's Javonte, I'm still going Higgins and Sutton. Again, one down game out of Higgins. You can't quit him. Sutton looked good, even though the Denver Broncos look bad. So that's very good. So Sutton is very involved in the Denver Broncos offense. Higgins, the clear number 2 wide receiver on the Bengals. Any given game can score 30 points. You have to play Sutton. You have to play Higgins. I got Chuba clearly ahead of Kamara, Njoku clearly ahead of Henry, and I'm playing Kenneth Walker. But if you don't want to play Kenneth Walker, you want to play Keon instead, that's fine. All right, real quick, Julie, I did answer your super chat. I think I gave you my answer, but maybe I didn't. Maybe you missed it. Maybe I clicked past it, but I do remember you super chatting. It's Keenan Allen and it's Tatora McMillan. Keenan Allen, very safe, high upside. Montgomery, he has the decent upside, but the problem is if they're going to keep using Gibbs more and more and more and more every week and dropping down the snaps of Montgomery, then you're going to get less safety out of Montgomery, thus more risk, right? McMillan, risky because of Bryce Young, but he's the number 1 receiver. Keenan Allen, not so risky, super safe. Chargers offense should score a lot of points. I feel good about Keenan Allen. I feel good about McMillan. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Sean. Start 3, and we're trying to catch up, so I do apologize. I'm like 10 minutes behind. Start 3, PPR, Tyreek, Higgins, Sutton, MHJ, or Egbuka. Sutton and Higgins are must starts, in my opinion. I'm not overthinking Sutton or Higgins. You have to play them. You have to play them. I think Sutton plays well again. Again, the offense looked out of sorts. The offense looked inept. The offense, Bo Nix, looked terrible. Bottom of the barrel. Terrible. Literally atrocious. I try not to curse as much on the streams. Dog shit. Terrible. Bo Nix looked blind. And they still played well. Like, Sutton still played well. Higgins, again, Joe Burrow always looks terrible to start off the year. He is atrocious every single year to start off the season. I thought it would be different this year. It wasn't. So, Sutton, Higgins, you got to start him. Then I would go Marvin Harrison Jr. I like his matchup this week. I like how he looked last week. There's still, like, deep down in the back of my mind, hey, it's a little bit risky. But I think the upside outweighs the risk. So MHJ, Sutton, Higgins, those are the 3 you're rocking with. Start 3, Higgins, Sutton, MHJ. Cole, thank you for the super chat. I like the picture of dog. Mason, Pearsall, Kenneth Walker, and the flex. Okay, this is one of the scenarios where you don't have to play Walker. This is one of the scenarios where you don't have to roll the dice and play the guessing game. I get people are scared of Mac Jones. I get that Mac Jones isn't very good. I have been a Mac Jones hater since Jump Street. You will never come onto a video of mine where I am sitting here talking super up on Mac Jones. That will never be me. You will never catch me doing that. But Mac Jones loves his number 1 option. Last year, he fed Brian Thomas Jr. He never really had a true number 1 like that in New England. He has a true number 1 with Ricky Pearsall, who he's going to force the ball to him. I'm playing Ricky. I am playing Ricky. I feel really, really, really good about Ricky this week. Hayden Dodd, thank you for the super chat. Are you related to Mason? JSN, Pickens, Egbuka, Judy, and Johnston. Great question. Great question. JSN, look, I think I might have been wrong about JSN. I worried about Sam Darnold not being able to keep JSN as consistent. But based on what we saw in week 1, JSN is going to be getting force-fed the ball every single game. They are just going to keep throwing the ball to him at an incredibly high clip. So I am going to JSN. I feel very good about JSN. I don't think you could sit him. Then we got Egbuka, Judy, Pickens, Johnston. Egbuka, another guy that you're just going to feel very good about. Baker and that offense are always percolating. They're always scoring a lot of points. Egbuka looks like he has the ability to be the number 1 receiver on that team, even if he's not on paper. And Evans is. So I like Egbuka and I like JSN. Then it's more of a guessing game. I lean Pickens over Judy. I've got Pickens 30, Judy 32, QJ 44, because I just don't think QJ is going to do it again. I would lean Pickens. I think if you're trying to be as safe as possible, you go Judy. But I am not like you guys know me. I don't necessarily play fantasy the safest way. I think hunting for upside is very important, especially when you already feel good about JSN. You should already feel good about Ibuka getting you a solid floor. I go with the higher upside guy, which would be Pickens. Justin, Kelsey or Warren? Warren. Diggs, Booty, Tillman, Walker, PPR. Thank you, no problem. I would go Walker. This is the kind of question where you roll the dice on Walker. Walker, again, he might not be the number one running back on the team this week. That is very clear from watching the games, the game week 1. He is not guaranteed anything, and the team doesn't view it that way. But this is a run system under Clint Kubiak that if they are running the ball at correctly, Kenneth Walker's the guy, he could score 30 fantasy points in any given game. This is a great scheme for him. Will that actually come to fruition, though? We shall see. But based on after just one game, I'm still sticking with Walker, and I'm going Warren over Kelsey. Brad, paint this. Thank you for the super chat. Notorious is legit. Listen to advice. Thank God we made it to another NFL Sunday. Yes, sir. Thank you. And make sure you guys do. Brad, I've messaged with him on Patreon before. He does paint, obviously. His name is Brad Paint This. You can follow him on Instagram at Brad Paint This, and you can get a painting from him. All the paintings that I've looked at from him are pretty sick. Honestly, I looked through him because he, is on the Patreon, so I looked him up, and all the painting looks very cool. And I will just send his link in the chat if you guys want to check that out. Brad is a very nice guy, so shout out to Brad. Dab God, yo, and thank you for the super chat, Brad. Dab God, the true Dab God. Yo, what's good, Nick? What's up? What did you miss? Honestly, man, you haven't missed much. We have been locked into the stream, but you haven't missed anything. Nothing crazy has happened. Normally, NFL Sunday, crazy shit happens. Like, there's guys that you expect to be in that are out, guys that you expect to be out that are in, that are like making like large splashes. Really, nothing crazy has occurred just yet. Like, the Cowboys healthy scratch, Jaden Blue. Maybe Brock Bowers doesn't play, but nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Thank you, Dab God. I appreciate you a ton. Thank you for the super chat, man. Thank you for watching for all the years. I appreciate you a ton. I appreciate all you guys, whether you're brand new to the channel, whether this is the first time you've ever seen me, or whether you've watched, I don't know how many, over the years, there's probably been at least like 100 streams. Maybe you've watched 100 of my streams. I appreciate you guys all a ton. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Dab God. Hope you've had a good weekend. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Sunday is the best day of the year, baby. Best day of the week, in my opinion. Even though it's the end of the week, it's the best day of the week. Noodles, thank you for the super chat. Aaron Jones or Henderson to start. I'm going Henderson. Aaron Jones feels a little bit risky because of the fact that they use Jordan Mason so much. I think this is going to be pretty much a 50-50 split every single week, and whichever of those two running backs scores a touchdown is going to be the one you wish you had. How will you project that every week? I don't know. I think Mason is more than likely going to be getting more rushes, and I feel better about Jones getting more receptions. The touchdowns kind of up in the air. Jones scored the touchdown last week. If it's a goal line touch, I would think it would go to Aaron Jones, but we're not quite sure about that either. My lean would be to go Henderson. It would be to go with Henderson just because I feel better about his safety. And yeah, I just feel a little bit better about Henderson. And yeah, you can't sit Bucky Irving, whoever asked that. It's week 2. You're not sitting Bucky. You ain't sitting Bucky. Stroud, Flacco, Stafford, Purdy's down, Stafford. I'm 50-50 on Tet versus Jacoby. If you want to be safe, you play Jacoby. You want a little bit more upside, you play Tet. Jacoby over Tet, especially if Bowers is out. I'm starting him yet. But yeah, see, I think Jacoby is going to be good. And I think Tet's going to be good. I feel good about Tet this week. I personally lean Tet. But if you wanted to go with Jacoby, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, there's certain, like, Tet is my wide receiver 23 in tier 3. Jacoby is my wide receiver 25 in tier 3. So if you lean Jacoby, it's not like, oh, you're an idiot, right? Because I have Tet 22 or 23, Myers 25. It's not like one guy's wide receiver 20, one guy's wide receiver 77, My quarterback situation is a mess. No, you're not, like, you could regret it, but I'm still playing Bryce Young in my 2 quarterback league. I got to play him. I hope it works. I hope he figures it out. Nothing wrong with Bucky. Yeah. Nothing wrong with Bucky. Nothing wrong, guys. You can, like, the number one tip every year, say this every season, do not fucking panic after one game. It's easy to, right? Because you spent all summer looking at fantasy. You spent all summer potentially doing all this research. And oh my gosh, the guy didn't show up for me. And then you get mad. But like, I know why you get mad, because you spent all summer and you lose and you're pissed. But it's just one game. It is just one game. DJ Moore, Trey Henderson. I feel better about DJ Moore. Can't believe Nick dissed my wide receiver one's girlfriend in yesterday's video. My bad. Bucky's a beast. Facts. Penix or Dak? Dak. Scared of Bowers? I'm leaving Bowers in. Personally, I think Bowers is going to play based on what the head coach of the team says. I'm not a doctor. I don't have inside information. I read what you guys can read. And I take my opinion based off of what I know from playing fantasy for a while and based on what I know about the coach. I don't think Pete Carroll is necessarily the biggest truther. And what I mean by that is everything he says is 100% fact. I don't think that, but he also isn't a huge liar. I would play Bowers, and if your league allows it, you can just cut someone off your bench and pick up Michael Mayer if Bowers doesn't play, which is what I've done. I've dropped someone on my team where I have Bowers. I drop someone, and I have Michael Mayer chilling on the bench, ready to rock if he cannot go. Walker or Pacheco or Sampson? Walker. Walker, Texas Ranger. Jamar Chase or Cedric Tillman? Cole, that's a tough question. I'm not going to lie with you. Oh, yeah. That was funny, Tyron. I do remember that now. That is true, though. That's a true story. That actually did happen. That's a tough question, man. Very tough question. I think I'm going to go Cedric Tillman over Jamar Chase. That's what we're going to do. We're going to lock Cedric Tillman in. I mean, Cedric Tillman scored more points than Jamar Chase last week, and we just take week 1, and that's exactly what's going to happen in week 2, right? That's how it works. So we're going Cedric Tillman. Obviously, that's a joke, and obviously Cole is just fucking around too. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Obviously, Jamar Chase. What's good, Force? What's good, Force? What's up, everybody? What's up, Notorious Fantasy? What's up, man? How much longer are we giving Tyreek to show up? I got him in the 4th round, and if he can get back to form, I'm winning my league. All right. I agree with everything that you just said. If he comes back to form, he's a league winner. What's up, Manuel? That's why I said you should draft him. Because if it goes right, it doesn't just go right and Tyreek's the wide receiver 15. It goes right and Tyreek's the wide receiver 2, the wide receiver 1, the wide receiver 3. Any given week, Tyreek could score 40 fantasy points. Now, at some point, you have to cut your losses, right? At some point, you have to recognize that maybe this doesn't work and you have to bench him. And a tried and true strategy that I've used in fantasy is, Tyreek's not working. Guess what, buddy? You've been demoted to my flex. And then he feels that. He's like, fuck. Nick put me on in the flex. He doesn't trust me to be the wide receiver 2. And then he goes crazy because he's like, you know what? Now Nick doesn't respect me. I have to do something for him, right? It's week 2. It's a great matchup against the Patriots with no Christopher Gonzalez. Sorry. Chrissy. So I feel good about Tyreek this week. Do I feel amazing? Do I feel like Tyreek's a must start? And if you sit Tyreek, you're crazy. No. But Tyreek is still startable. And we're giving him one more game. One last ride as like in the start worthy range where it's like most people start him. Right? Now, after this week, if he shits the bed, then it's like, okay. Now he's like, you can still play him, right? Because any given game, he could score that amount of points. But you don't really feel good about it, right? And then there's like, maybe if you're like a Cedric Tillman owner and next week, like Tyreek shits the bed next week, it's like, oh, Cedric Tillman or Tyreek, and Cedric Tillman has a good game. I might just tell you to play Cedric Tillman, right? Or some like Keenan Allen, right? This week, I'm playing Tyreek over Keenan Allen, right? But next week, that might not be the case, right? I'm playing Tyreek over Hollywood, but next week, that might not be the case. But again, it's just one game. And the Dolphins notoriously with Tua own the Patriots. Is that, again, nothing in life is guaranteed. Besides a few things, but that's not a guarantee that Tyreek plays well. But again, after one game, I don't think you can jump ship yet. I think you still rock with him this week. Adams or Hampton? I'm going Adams. Can I play Kamara and Jawan? Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm playing Pitts over Jawan. And I don't love having 2 of my pieces attached to Spencer Rattler. but I don't think it's necessarily crazy. All right. Adams or Hampton? Adams. Is Drizzy Drake a full go this week? He's fully ready to go based on what I've read. Drake, London. Okay, so the best place to find news, guys, what you're going to do is you're going to Google player name, Roto World, and it's going to bring you to NBC, which used to be Roto World. And then it'll tell you everything about the player. Falcons wide receiver Drake London is not on Atlanta's final injury report. London shrugged off with the shoulder. Good to go, it would appear. Now, understand that I'm not a doctor. I'll say this all the time. I'm not a doctor. But based on what I've read, when you have a shoulder injury like that, 28% dip off in terms of projection for the next game. Now, he's the clear one. He's going to get fed, so he's still going to have a good game. But just temper your expectations to where if you think Drake London is going to score 30 points, just get that out of your brain. He probably won't do that. Nick, you are a beat. You're the best. 5 years strong. Thank you so much. Your channel is blown up. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I appreciate all you guys. Full PPR. Egbuka, Metcalf, Pearsall, Ridley. I would go Metcalf and Egbuka. JMO, K9, or Tillman. Full PPR. I need one for my second. I'm going K9. Hey, full PPR. Who's the best starting lineup? 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. I got you, and I'm going to get to the super chat. Irving and A-Chain are must starts. Jefferson is must start at receiver. I'm not seeing DK. I'm not sitting James Conner. So that's it. Irving, A-Chain, Jefferson, DK, Conner. That is it. That is it. That is it. Megan, thank you for the super chat. Super new to fantasy football and learning a lot from you. So thanks. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. I'm always happy to help. I try to make my videos to where if you're new to fantasy football, you can understand what I'm saying. And if you've been playing for a while, you can also, get some other things. Like, especially in the summer, like there's a lot of advanced analytics that I bring out. I bring out matchup statistics. If you're newer, maybe you don't understand exactly what I'm saying. So that's why I try to explain everything, which might come off as, obvious to some people, but not for everyone. So I appreciate that, Megan. Thank you. Full PPR, pick 3. Amon-Ra St. Brown, BTJ, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill. Great question. So Amon-Ra St. Brown is unsittable. Week 1 didn't go well. Week 2 isn't a guarantee to go well, but you can't sit your first or, he might have fallen to the second round, but, you got Amon-Ra, BTJ. Those are your first and second round pick. You can't get rid of them. BTJ, I'm way more concerned right now in week 2 on BTJ compared to Amon-Ra St. Brown because the whole Lions offense just crippled and the Packers defense looked great against the Commanders. So it could just be, the Packers defense is great. The Lions will figure it out. So BTJ and Amon-Ra, you have to start them. I am a little bit more worried about BTJ. Why, you might ask? Because Trevor Lawrence just looks so bad. But again, it's week 2. You can't give up on them. I love Tyreek. As a Dolphins fan, he is the best player on the Dolphins. He's probably the best player I've ever seen suit up as a Dolphin that played on offense. I guess like Ricky Williams back in the day. But Tyreek is better than that. So I would love to start Tyreek, but Garrett Wilson just played so good. He's going up against the Bills in a back and forth, rock'em sock'em robots potential matchup where maybe both teams score 30 plus points. Like, I think that's definitely in the outcomes of the game. And I think Garrett Wilson, I liked him in the summer. He's the clear number 1 option. He's been getting the targets. He's been getting the receptions. He just hasn't gotten lucky in the end zone. And if the touchdowns keep coming more, then you're going to be seeing Garrett Wilson have a lot of big games. So I think the best start here, Megan, would be to just sit Tyreek Hill. You play Amon-Ra, you play BTJ, you play Garrett Wilson. Next week, look, when Tyreek has a big game this week potentially, then it starts to get really confusing. Then you're gonna get really confused next week. This week, though, it's kind of a layup. You just sit Tyreek Hill. So BTJ, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson. Christian, thank you for the super chat. What's up, Nick? Appreciate the help, brother. Appreciate you as well. Throw a nice heart out for you. Walker or Henderson in the flex full PPR. Oh man, Christian, that's a tough question. Oh man. Walker is tough because I want to just be like, oh man, Walker's gonna smash, right? That's what you want to say. That's what I want to say, but I don't know if I can say that. I got these guys back to back, Christian. I've got Henderson 22, Walker 23. Shout out to MJ. Now, that's a toss up. Walker more than likely could easily outscore Henderson because Walker is real. When Walker is playing up to his snuff, Walker's the kind of guy that can run through a bunch of people's faces and score 1 zillion fantasy points. But based on what we saw last week, there's a lot of concerns about the usage. What we've heard about Travion Henderson is that they want to give him more usage, not less, right? Whereas Walker, you could interpret what the coaches are saying as they don't want to give Walker as many touches, and maybe Walker starts seeing less work. So that really is kind of a debacle that you are in right now. So, in my opinion, I would go Henderson because I just feel a little bit safer about Henderson. And I think they have similar upside. So I'll just lean with the guy that I feel is safer. So that's the way that we're going to lean here. Volume is king in fantasy. I fully agree. I fully agree. So I'm going to go ahead and go Henderson. Raymond, thank you for the super chat. What's up? Hollywood Brown, JMO, Adunze. Great question, Raymond. Great. Everyone loves Raymond. Isn't that a TV show? Or was it everyone hates? Everybody hates Chris. That was also a banger TV show. If anyone watched that as a kid. Shout out to Terry Crews. Hollywood, JMO, Adunze. Great question. All right, I got Hollywood, wide receiver 28. JMO, 38. Adunze, 34. The reason why I have JMO ranked so low is I like Jameson Williams. He has super high upside weekly, but Jameson Williams, after week 1, like I could really see him falling heavily out of favor without Ben Johnson, heavily not getting as many looks. Like the play designs just aren't as good, and that's hurting him, which could very well be the case. Hollywood, again, just feels like he's going to get 10 targets. What does he do with them against the Eagles is definitely a huge question mark, but he's going to get the most amount of targets. Adunze I like a lot, but there's still question marks about Caleb, right? Hollywood has Mahomes. There's no Rashi. There is no Xavier Worthy. So Hollywood's just going to fall ass backwards into a lot of work, so I'm going Hollywood. Thank you for the super chat. We're going to go to Ramsters next. Force Calibration was first. Force, thank you for the super chat, my man. We love you, Nick. I love you too. Debo's been balling. So I got to ask you. I got CD and Sutton and Mike Evans. With saying Mike Evans does not show up, should I sub him in for Debo next week? I think it's going to be very, very, very hard to decipher what's going on with Debo versus Evans weekly. I'm probably always going to have Evans ranked ahead of Debo just simply because I trust Evans more than I trust Debo. Debo was looking like he was on a path of disaster. Like, if you watch that game, I don't know if you watched the game, so I'm not saying like, and you might have watched the game, you might not have picked up on this. Debo didn't really do much until the end of the game. Now, obviously, you get points for the whole game, right? So you can't just say, oh, Debo doesn't get those fantasy points because they happened right at the end of the game. I'm not saying that because that would be fucking stupid to say. But what I'm saying is that could have been a disaster for Debo. And the more and more and more games Terry McLaurin plays, the more and more Terry McLaurin's going to rise up the wide receiver depth chart, the favoritism. Obviously, he's still the number 1 receiver, but he's going to rise up the amount of targets that he receives, and you're going to feel better about Terry and thus feeling worse about Debo. So next week, if you wanted to play Debo ahead of Evans, I'm fine with that, right? But I think fast forward 3 weeks down the line, again, I don't know who has a bye win, right? But I think you're going to feel better about Evans 3 weeks from now. But I think next week, you might feel much better about Debo. So next week, I'm fine playing Debo ahead of Evans. If Evans plays not so hot this week, I'm perfectly fine with that. But again, I want you to understand that we are in a time right now where Terry's still trying to get that connection back with Jaden. Ramsters, thank you for the super chat. Full PPR, who do you start? Caleb Penix, AJ Brown, Malik Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, Chase Brown, Henderson, Charbonnet, Strange, Ingram, Benson, Jawan, Bigsby, 1 quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 tight end, and 1 flex. Thanks, no problem. No problem. One second, I'm just texting my wife real quick. We back to being locked in. All right, I'm gonna type this out because it's easier for me to type it than it is for me to say it. I'm gonna say it too, but I want to make sure I remember what I'm gonna say. Okay, so Penix versus Caleb. I have Penix 16, Caleb 17. That's a toss up. I lean Penix. I like the matchup for Penix. So we're gonna go Penix. You can't sit Neighbors. You can't sit Garrett Wilson. And you also cannot sit AJ Brown. So AJ Brown's gonna be your flex. Okay. So it's Penix, Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, and then AJ Brown to flex. At running back, you cannot sit Chase Brown. There's a debate between Henderson and Charbonnet. There's definitely a debate to be had because if Charbonnet gets most of the usage on the team, I would prefer to have Charbonnet over Henderson. But we can't guarantee that. And things could also go drastically in the opposite direction where Charbonnet is not just not the running back one. He is the running back too, but barely even touching the ball. Like, I think things could swing that way. So I would feel significantly better playing Henderson. So it's going to be Penix, Neighbors, Chase Brown, Henderson, AJ Brown, and then at tight end, Ingram or Strange. I'm not quitting on Ingram yet, so it's going to be Ingram. So it's Penix, Neighbors, Garrett Wilson, Chase Brown, Henderson, AJ Brown, and Evan Ingram. Thank you for the super chat. Josh, thank you for the super chat. Shout out to J. Cole, Hollywood Cole, Juwan Jennings or Mark Andrews, Dylan Sampson or Kenneth Walker. Something I'm going to just speak about with the Browns running backs real quick, just like a general statement. This week, Quinshon Judkins is expected to play. I don't fucking understand at all how he is eligible to play when they said that he is not going to, when they said that they're going to suspend him. So I honestly don't understand at all how that works. He's going to be on a snap share. He's barely going to touch the ball. So if you have Judkins, you should not be starting him. That is just a blanket statement. If you have Judkins, you do not start Judkins. Very simple. Dylan Sampson still should be the lead back. But I'm going Kenneth Walker. Why? Because the Browns are going to be losing. They're going to be getting pounded, and they are going to have to throw the ball late in the game. So they're not going to be able to run the ball as much. Dylan Sampson will be fine, but I would feel so much better rolling the dice with Walker over Sampson. And then Juwan Johnson or Mark Andrews, again, after one game, I'm not getting rid of Mark Andrews in my starting lineup. Juwan Johnson might be 9,000 times safer. And again, look, if you want to be as safe as possible, Josh, you play Juwan Johnson and you play Kenneth Walker. I'm more risky. I go Mark Andrews and Kenneth Walker because I think Mark Andrews will bounce back. Michael, thank you for the super chat. 2 questions. Juwan or Pitts? Bowers hurt. Pick one. Sutton, T-Mac, Kenneth Walker, Flowers, DJ Moore. Okay. If you have Bowers, you should be playing Bowers because the expectation is that Brock Bowers plays based on what Pete Carroll said. So I would personally play Bowers, and then if he for some reason doesn't play, you could just cut someone on your team and pick up Mayer. That is, in my opinion, the best way to look at things because you're just going to feel sad. Even if you I like Pitts and Juwan Johnson this week. I think they're both startable tight ends, but when you have Bowers, Bowers is just on a whole nother level. Got him a new shovel, like that song. Okay. So I'm playing Bowers, but if you just want to pick one of the two, it's Pitts. And then Sutton, T-Mac, K-Walk, Flowers, DJ Moore. It's Sutton. Again, the Denver Broncos looked terrible offensively up against the Titans. They looked They didn't just look lost. They did not look on the same page. They didn't look in the same chapter. They were in different Dewey Decimal System numbered books. Okay. But there is, in my opinion, reason to believe that this all gets fixed, that, they play better, which I would think. So I feel very good about Sutton. So Sutton and Pitts, but I would probably play Bowers. KC, love the culture growing, bro. Salute. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching the stream. Someone said that they liked my hat earlier. I don't remember who it was, so I can't specifically shout it. It might have been Rise. Thank you for saying that you liked my hat, by the way. I just thought of it now because I looked at myself. I was like, damn, look at that nice hat that Nick's got on. What a beautiful guy. This is from the Dive Bar podcast. They make Dolphins videos. Very good. If you're a Dolphins fan. Now, if you're just an NFL fan, it might not interest you as much. But if you're a Dolphins fan, I would suggest watching. They're very nice guys, too. I also have a dive bar glass that I drink out of sometimes. Love the culture growing, bro. Thank you. JMO, Tillman, Pickens, PPR, Dobbins or K9, non PPR. You gotta play Kenneth Walker over Dobbins. You have to play Kenneth Walker over Dobbins. I get what what Kenneth Walker did last week was despicable. What happened was terrible and it sucked. But you can't bend the knee on Walker yet just to play fucking Dobbins. Who Dobbins could easily be in the same scenario as Kenneth Walker. Like Dobbins could easily get leapfrogged by his teammate RJ Harvey. So I would go Kenneth Walker. And then I'm going Pickens. I think Pickens bounces back. I think the Cowboys offense looks very good up against the Giants. So I like Pickens a ton. Again, I was big on Pickens in the summer. I cautioned everyone last week, hey, while I talked up Pickens a ton, if you have other options, maybe you want to go that way. I definitely told some people to start Pickens, and that could have been you as well. So I'm not saying I'm going to get every question 100% right, but I did like what I saw out of the Cowboys offense. Even if they didn't score a lot of points, I think they're going to be a lot better. I think they're going to bounce back. So I feel very, 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 very good about Pickens being really good this season. So I'm gonna go with the bounce back narrative. We're going Pickens and we're going Kenneth Walker. Zach, thank you, my man, for the super chat. Pick 2, Cup, Boutte, Travis Hunter, Hubbard, Hubble Bubble Max, Chuba Hubble Bubble Max, and Hollywood. You got to go Hubbard. You cannot sit Hubbard. I get Bryce Young looked terrible. I get Nick Bryce Young. You said Bryce Young was going to be really good, and Bryce Young wasn't really good. I know. I watch the games too, just like you guys do. And that wasn't good. I will acknowledge that was not very good. That was not very fun. But better days are ahead for the offense. And even with the offense looking bad, Hubbard played good. So Hubbard. And I think I got to go Hollywood just because Hollywood's going to get so many targets. Again, in fantasy football, this might sound obvious, but a lot of the time you just want to chase the volume. Unless you're like Wan'Dale Robinson, I guess, right? Where Wan'Dale's going to get a lot of volume and get like 10 fantasy points. Especially with a guy like Hollywood, he could get 10 receptions for 120 plus yards, right? And that's very valuable for fantasy. Whereas Wan'Dale could get 12 targets, 10 catches, and 30 yards. That's just kind of how he is. So I would go Hollywood and Hubbard personally. Levi, thank you for the super chat. PPR, Ricky or Tet at the flex. Oh, man. Spock likes Tet over Ricky. I like Ricky over Tet. Now, why do I like Ricky over Tet? Just strictly because Juwan Jennings is banged up. George Kittle is out for 3 to 5 weeks, or 4 weeks now because he's on the IR. And I just feel like the team is going to keep feeding him the ball, and because Mac Jones feeds him the ball. Now, Mac Jones loves targeting the number 1 receiver. Now, it is also very, 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 very important to understand that there is a chance that they put multiple men on him. That they just say, F it, let's triple cover Pearsall. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's definitely in the realm of possibilities. So, sure, there's some risk, but I just trust how Kyle Shanahan's going to scheme up the offense with Mac Jones to get the ball to Ricky over me trusting Bryce Young with Tet. I still like Tet. I have answered Tet McMillan, Tor McMillan, as an answer to multiple of these questions. I have said multiple times that you should be starting him. So don't take this as me hating him. I hope no one takes it as that. But I just feel better about Ricky because again, he was able to really elevate BTJ because he just fed him the ball last year. So Pearsall for me. Wesley, my man, thank you for the super chat. Howdy, Nick. What's going on, man? How are you doing? I need 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Bucky, Chase Brown, Genty, Hubbard, Warren, Jefferson, Egbuka, Adams. Thanks a ton, man. Thank you. What's up, Caitlin? What's up with it? Okay. Great question. I'm going to type this one out too because this is like a longer question. So you can't sit Bucky and you can't sit Chase Brown. Those are no-brainers. You have to play them. You can't sit Justin Jefferson either. And then the question here strictly is, who's your wide receiver 2 and who's your flex? That's like a legitimate debate here because I want both Egbuka and Adams in my lineup. but I also want Hubbard in the lineup. So what's up, Hanover? That is where there becomes more questions, right? That's where the question truly lies, is in that. Now, I think I would probably, it's tough. I would find it very hard to sit Adams. So I'm going to play Adams as the wide receiver 2. And I'm typing this out for you so that I remember. And then Egbuka versus Hubbard, I think I have to lean Hubbard. Bucky, Chase Brown, Jefferson, Adams, Hubbard. Lock it in, Wesley. I appreciate you. Love you long time. Junk Busta. Egbuka or Metcalf, Walker or Mason? Great question. Walker or Mason? I'm going Walker. They're both kind of in uncertain scenarios. And what I mean by uncertain scenarios is they both have question marks with how much work do they see? Is Mason the guy? Is Walker the guy? Is this going to be a 50-50 for both these guys? Could this be a 70-30? Could this be fucking Aaron Jones supremacy? Could this be Jordan Mason supremacy? Could it be Charbonnet or Walker? It's a tough question. A lot of people love Jordan Mason this week. I have seen it. My buddy Ron, his thumbnail was like must start players and it had a picture of fucking Jordan Mason right on there. I don't know about that. I didn't watch the video, so I didn't listen to what Ron said. Frankly, I talk to Ron all the time, but I don't watch every video that every single person makes strictly during the football season as well, because there's just so many videos. How could I watch them all? And I want to have my own opinions too. I don't want to just jump on someone's opinion. So Mason's a good player, and I talked up Mason a lot in the summer, but I don't think, again, you can wave the white flag. Okay, this is just I don't know what the hell I just did here. I don't think you can wave the white flag after one down game of Kenneth Walker. I don't think you can give up yet. That's just my kind of opinion on things. So I would have to play Kenneth Walker. And then Egbuka or Metcalf, that's like a legitimate toss-up. I have Metcalf 19, Egbuka 20, so I'm going to go with Metcalf in the revenge game up against the Seahawks. We're talking about, I'm a big revenge game guy. Does it always work? Of course not. Like, the revenge game narrative sometimes is fucking fugazi. It doesn't work at all, but I lean with Metcalf. Metcalf and Kenneth Walker. J-Mo or Travis Hunter, Anthony Barnett, thank you for the super chat. I'm going Hunter. Hunter has a great matchup against the Bengals. Now, I could see this game going wrong for him because they attempt to use him more defensively, but I'm still not willing to truly believe that he's going to be out there so much on defense that he can't play on offense. Like, I just don't think that will be the case. And he seems to have a pretty good connection with Lawrence just based on week 1. Like, it's almost like Lawrence trusts him more than he trusts BTJ, or maybe not trustworthy wise, but like when he throws the ball towards, BTJ, it's like the thing's fucking wobbling like you're listening to some fucking music in the club and everyone's shaking ass. You know what I'm saying? The ball's wobbling crazy. Whereas like when he was throwing it to Travis Hunter, it was like on target. So that's definitely at least a little bit of a concern. Ultimately, though, I'm going Hunter over JMO. I just trust him more. And Pitts versus Fannin, I'm going Pitts. Raphael, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. What time was that at? That was at 12:18. So we actually are not that behind anymore because I'm fast. I am speed. Raphael, thank you for the super chat. His question was DJ Moore or Pearsall? And then for quarterbacks, Drake May or Patrick Mahomes? Full PPR. Great question. I got Ricky 2 spots ahead of DJ Moore. DJ Moore might lose his spot as the number 1 wide receiver. And then I'm going to go to TTV Phoenix 24 next. DJ Moore might have lost his spot as the wide receiver 1 on the team. And Odunze could surpass him. Right now, though, I'm still operating under the interpretation that he is the wide receiver 1. So if you want to play DJ Moore this week, go right ahead. I am perfectly fine doing that. But for me, I just feel better. Again, I really think that the 49ers are going to feed Pearsall. They really just don't have anyone else out there, so they kind of just have to. So I feel good about that. We're going to go Ricky over DJ Moore and then Mahomes over May. Because, again, Mahomes, you're going to feel gross, I would say, for probably half the game. Mahomes going to have like 9 fantasy points at halftime or 8. And, maybe he's throwing a pick. Maybe he's throwing 2. And it's going to feel gross. You're going to be like, Nick, you idiot. Like, some people in the comment section, they'll come after me at like halftime, right? And it happens all the time where people like attack me at halftime. Nick, you told me to start this guy. You fucking idiot, right? And then within the next 30 minutes of the game, the guy has scored 2 more touchdowns, and now you just feel stupid because you can't panic after just like half the game. But this is a clear game where people are going to panic. They'll be like, oh my gosh, why are the Eagles winning by so much? Potentially. Like, oh my gosh, why is Mahomes looking so bad? And then like in the second half, Mahomes is just going to uncork and have a huge game down the stretch of the game. So it might feel risky early on, but I feel good about Mahomes. So I lean with Mahomes. TTV Phoenix 24, thank you so much. Full PPR. You need a flex. Hunter, Sampson, Tillman, Jones. Great question. I would go Hunter. Look, I like Sampson a decent amount. That a report just came out. I'm going to read it straight to you guys. That said, oh wow, they're flying a Fire Greer, Fire Mike McDaniel sign over the Dolphin Stadium right now. It's hilarious. Let's see here. I'm going to try to read the exact report to you guys, and then we'll answer the question. Fuck, can I not find it now, of course? Is it buried? Basically, what it said was, in terms of like how they're warming up, Jerome Ford is still, Ford, Sampson, Judkins. I still think Judkins gets the most touches, though, so I'm fine playing Judkins if you want, but I think the smart move is just to go Hunter. Again, the matchup is way too good, in my opinion, for you to avoid it. Like, the matchup is way too good for me to get nervous about playing Travis Hunter. Even though I'm fine playing Sampson or Tillman, I would rather just lean with Hunter, though. So, again, I already answered this one, but it's Pearsall for sure over Moore, and then I feel good about Mahomes over May. Ray, thank you for the super chat. Dak or May? Mason, Coleman, Boutte. Great question. I would go Coleman for the receiver or for the flex. I feel really good about Coleman just getting a lot of targets. I get the matchup isn't the best up against the Bills, but it could be a really, really, up against the Jets, but it could be a really high-scoring game where both teams are throwing the ball a ton. So I feel pretty good about Coleman getting a large amount of targets. So I'm going Coleman. And then Dak or May, that's much more of a toss-up. Dak or May. I got Dak 11, May 10. I'm gonna go May. I'm gonna go May over Dak, ever so slightly, just a little bit safer. Josh, thank you again. Full PPR, Ridley, or what's up, Caleb? What's up, brother? You the goat. Ridley or Tyrone Tracy, Ricky or Aaron Jones? Great question. Ricky over Aaron Jones. Again, I feel really good about Ricky this week. This one could bite me in the ass, right? Because anytime you give the Gawk 9000 special to Mac Jones's wide receiver 1, like there's obviously like red flags, right? There's obviously reason to be nervous when you're sucking up on fucking Mac Jones's wide receiver 1, right? Like I don't even think Mac Jones' parents trust Mac Jones, right? Like in this game, I'm sure he's a reliable guy in real life, but like I'm sure even his parents would be nervous, right? But yeah, I would just go Ridley. I just feel so much safer with him than compared to Tyrone Tracy. And then the question would be Ridley or it's Ricky versus Aaron Jones. Sorry. I feel much better about Ricky over Aaron Jones. For the same reason why I'm nervous about Tracy, I'm worried about Aaron Jones. Is Sauce going to shadow Coleman? Sauce, in my opinion, at least from what I think about Sauce off the top of my head, I don't think he's a guy that just shadows someone. I don't think. Now, maybe that's wrong. Maybe Spock knows. But at least last year, he didn't do that. Ridley or Tyrone Tracy, I would go Ridley because I just don't trust the fucking Giants. Like, I like Tyrone Tracy, and I think Tyrone Tracy is going to have some good games this year. But right now, the offense is too bad for me to truly believe in Tracy. So I'm going Ridley and Aaron, and Ridley and Ricky. Yeah. So thank you again, TTV Phoenix. It's going to be Hunter because I just trust Hunter way more than I trust any of these other guys. I like Sampson. But they have Ford and they're going to be down. He's going to get a decent amount of dump offs. But Hunter up against the Bengals, this could be a true coming out party where he drops 25 plus points, where he just drops his nuts in that defense. And this is a shootout, back and forth, high scoring game. So I would just feel a lot better playing Travis Hunter. Even if you want to be as safe as possible, I guess Sampson, but I would go Hunter. Cash Money, start Fields or Herbo. Keep up the good content. Thank you, Cash. I like Herbert a ton this week, and I feel good about Herbert. I feel very good about Fields. I have Fields 6, Herbert 7. I lean Fields just because there's always something super duper duper safe about having Fields due to his rushing upside. Like Fields could legitimately rush for 100 yards in this game. I'm not saying he's going to. I wouldn't bet on that. But I'm saying it is legitimately possible that he could break free and bust off a 70-yard run in any given game. So if you can bust off a 70-yard run, you can get 30 yards on a bunch of other runs, right? So it's easily possible for him to do that. So I just feel a little bit safer. Like, I guess Herbert is safer than Fields, obviously. But just based on how they play, I feel a little bit better about Fields. So I would go Fields personally. FNX. Again, they're back to back in my rankings. FNX. Ridley, Pickens, Walker at the flex spot. Okay, this is tough because to me, again, like after one game, I really try to heavily advocate that you do not have to sit your third or your fourth round pick after they shit the bed in week 1. Right? But this wasn't a shit the bed because, hey, he didn't get a lot of targets. You know, he was out there, but maybe things went wrong, like Genty, right? Or Hampton. Oh, Hampton has a great game. Hampton doesn't put up a great game, but Hampton had super high usage and looked all right, right? This is Walker basically got fucked over by Charbonnet. And that is the biggest reason to be nervous, right? Ridley plays bad against the Broncos. You're not nervous. Diggs doesn't get as many snaps as we would like week 1, so he doesn't have the best game. But you know the snaps are going to go up, so you don't have to panic. Things will get better, right? Whereas with Walker, things may never get better. Things may get worse. He may completely lose the starting job. But again, it's just one game, so I don't want to over panic. If it's my team, I'm not sitting my third or fourth round pick. I'm playing Kenneth Walker. But if you want to be safe, you play Pickens. I'm going Walker though. We buy homes near you. What's up? I appreciate you. Non-PPR, one flex. Ooga Booga, Egbuka, Diggs, Aaron Jones, Mason, B-Rob. Great question. I don't think B-Rob is even remotely startable, in my opinion, unless you're really, really down bad. I could see Brian Robinson scoring touchdowns randomly. I could see B-Rob busting off a big run randomly because, the 49ers offense just has a good system. But if that was to happen, it would probably be with, Brock Purdy in there, not Mac Jones, with the offense percolating at its highest rate with Kittle in there as well. It's like this is just like a significantly worse version of the 49ers offense. So B-Rob to me is like unstartable. For me, it would just be Egbuka. This is a standard league. So you're just looking really for who do I trust the most to be very involved and hopefully get a touchdown. I think as we get further into the season, Diggs is going to be very, very, very valuable. Drake May looked pretty good in week 1. I believe in Drake May, and I believe that the Patriots will look good. But there is no guarantee this week that Diggs plays more snaps than he did last week. I think he will, but I can't stand here and say guarantee he will. Okay. So with that said, I think the smart move would be to probably just play Egbuka because he's going to get the most amount of looks weekly on his team. You will feel the best about him. So that would be my lean. So I would go Egbuka. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you guys. We've had 82 super chats today. That's got to be some sort of record, right? I really appreciate you guys. Whether you could super chat or not, I try to answer as many questions as possible. Okay. We have more questions. Raiders are so bad, Herbo might not have to pass. Cash money. I don't know about that. Look, I'm not a Raiders fan. Okay. Like, I'm not going to come on here and be like, fucking Nick loves the Raiders, right? That's a lie. But I think the Raiders might be a little bit more underrated than you're giving them credit for. I'm not saying the Raiders are the best team in the NFL. I'm not saying they're a top 10 offense in the NFL. They're better than you probably just gave them credit for. But this game could be the Raiders are getting pounded. I could definitely see that. I mean, I can definitely see that, especially if Herbert throws 2 touchdowns early on. Hampton runs one in. And, the Raiders have a touchdown. It's halftime, 21-7. And then they're kind of just coasting, handing the ball to Hampton, and Herbert's kind of just okay. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't think the Raiders are that bad, though. Like, last week, we saw bad, right? We saw the Dolphins play. We saw the Giants. Those are legitimately bad offenses. I don't think the Raiders are that bad. But, yes, I get your sentiment, and I do think it's very possible that could happen. Eric, start 2. Keenan, Adunze, Pickens. Great question. Great question. I don't think touchdowns are guaranteed for anyone, whoever asked that. But if I was to, if there was some scenario where it's like, something bad's going to happen to me, if someone doesn't score, I would just always bet on McCaffrey. That would be, if I was in that scenario, the not going to happen scenario where I had to guarantee something or something bad happened, right? Or I'm going to get my toe chopped off or something. Pinky bet Big Cat from Barstool. It would be on McCaffrey scoring every week because he just loves the end zone. He enjoys it. Eric, I'm going Adunze and I'm going Pickens. But if I'm keeping it a buck with you, if I'm keeping it 100, I have Pickens 30, Adunze 34, Keenan Allen 35. If you want to be as safe as possible, you say, Nick, I'm scared of Pickens, which is fine to say, right? This is a trust circle. I don't judge you guys. I have opinions that are very different to what you guys think about fantasy football, 100%. This is a trust tree, trust circle. You can say whatever you want. If you're scared of Pickens, which I think is, if you're scared of Pickens, which I think is perfectly acceptable, all you're going to do is play Adunze and Allen. Personally, I'm playing Adunze and Pickens, but I'm not judging you if you're going Allen. And you know what, J-Ride, I feel that's fair too. I would go Allen and Adunze if you want to be as safe as possible. My opinion is that you're cute. Thank you. I think you're cute too, David, even though I can't see you. GM, brother. Good morning, Zay. Pick 2, Sutton, Bowers, Kamara, Mooney. Oh, man. I don't think you can sit Bowers. Bowers is supposed to play. He's supposed to play. That's what the coach said. Again, can you believe everything out of any coach's mouth? No. Right? Like, have you ever heard Kyle Shanahan talk that one time? He said, tomorrow's not even guaranteed. He's like, the aliens could have a death beam pointed at Earth, Andre Iguodala style, right? Like, these coaches say crazy shit, out of pocket shit all the time. So I wouldn't necessarily guarantee that he plays, but I think he will play. So the smart move, in my opinion, would be to play Bowers. I don't think you sit Bauer. Oh, man. But you have, oh, man. Why did it sound like Dora? You don't talk about, oh, man. Sorry. I'm going Sutton and Kamara just so you don't even have to worry about Bowers actually in your scenario. You just play Kamara and Sutton, and you can just say, fuck it. Maybe he has a bad game because he's banged up. Sutton and Kamara. Jeremy, thank you for the super chat. I need to start 3. Kenneth Walker, Tyron Tracy, Roma Dunze, Jameson Williams, George Pickens. Also, I need a tight end. Mark Andrews or David Njoku. Great question. So the tight end question is actually a toss-up. And I will give you my answer, but this is genuinely a toss-up because I believe I have them ranked back-to-back. Yep, I have Andrews 8, Njoku 9. I think Njoku is probably safer than Andrews. If I had to guess like who is safer, it would be Njoku. But I'm going with Andrews because again, I don't think that Andrews could possibly be that bad again. Now maybe I'm off, maybe I'm wrong, maybe he scores 0 instead of what 2 fantasy points that he got last week. So I'm going Andrews. And then I'm going Adunze, Pickens, and Walker. Again, I think Adunze is quickly going to keep rising up the rankings of the target hierarchy in that offense. It seems like Loveland is kind of just going to get slow rolled in with Cole Kmet. So Loveland, I think, is way better than Kmet, but it might take some time. And, Loveland's the kind of guy that can take away a lot of targets in an offense, right? There's only one ball. I get that technically a tight end and wide receiver aren't competing for quote unquote targets with each other, but they are, right? They're both on the field at the same time. There's only one ball. And I think that could hurt a guy like Rome or DJ. But right now, that's not the expectation that we see a lot of Loveland. So my lean would be to go Pickens, Adunze. I like both of them a lot this week. And Walker. I just don't think you can sit Walker. That's really my take. I would play Drake May, Veronica. Andrew Ray. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to scroll back to get Andrew's question. 12:38. We still have a lot of time left, just so you guys are aware. We're not on a time constraint just yet. We're about to be. Right? It's about to potentially be panic mode, but it's not yet. It's not yet. Eventually, it will be, though. Andrew, did you leave your question in chat? Did I miss it? You might have put it before you super chatted because I scrolled the other way. I'm also sweating profusely right now. We've been streaming for what, 2 hours to 12 minutes? Andrew, can you drop your question in chat again? Because I just don't see it. And yeah, I'll find your question though. Once you drop it in chat, I'll answer it. Thank you for the super chat. Michael, pick 2. Adunze, Moore, QJ, Coleman, PPR. Great question. Oh, man. I'm going both Bears. I just feel better about them than I do with QJ and Coleman. I think QJ legitimately reeks of... Turn my fan on, by the way. Of one-hit wonder. I'm not saying that, it's a guarantee that he's a one-hit wonder, but we have heard, like, he just seems like a one-hit wonder, if you know what I'm saying. Like, we've seen it before, so I'm not ready to just fully suck off Quentin Johnston this week and tell you guys to start him, so I'm not going to. I'm going to Dunze and Moore. That could be a firefight up against the Lions. The Lions' defense maybe kind of regressed from last season. Maybe that's just because they don't have Aaron Glenn anymore. So I feel very good about... I'd feel very good about it, Dunze and Moore. Ray, thank you for the super chat. My fan is loud, is it actually? Fucking trolling my ass, Tyron. There's no way that you can even hear the fan. DK or Henderson at the flex? Mayer or Hill as my wide receiver 1? Good question. Nick always kills me. I'm not a killer, bro. And Andrew, make sure you leave your your question in chat, please. And if it's not letting you send it, okay, I found it. Never mind. I found it. I'm going to answer it right after this. DK or Henderson? I'm going DK. I love Henderson. I'm a Henderson truther. I am a devout Henderson is Gibbs 2.0. I believe he is so much better than Ramondre. But, I would much rather have DK right now because DK is the clear number 1 wide receiver. He's not the clear number 1 running back. There is question marks just with the Patriots as a whole because the Patriots are just fucking, like, I don't know, like the Patriots. The fact that they're ran by Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator should scare the fuck out of you. So I would just prefer to stay away from him in this scenario and go DK. I'm playing Henderson on my teams though, by the way. And then Jacoby or Hill, I would play Jacoby because he is so much safer. Jacoby is so much safer. And shit, I had the question from Andrew and I scrolled past it, so I'm going to have to find it again. Okay, there it is. So, yeah, I feel way better about DK, and I feel way better about Jacoby Myers. Andrew said Hampton or Devonta. Hampton. Smith career numbers are great against the Chiefs. Yes, that is true. A report did just come out that the team is looking to force feed A.J. Brown early in the game, which, might sound like common sense, right? Because A.J. Brown's like a D1 crash out, meaning like if they don't feed him, he's like going to go diva mode. He'll start reading a book on the sideline again. So I like Devontae Smith, but I just feel better about Hampton's matchup and his workload. Like Hampton's just going to be very reliable for you, in my opinion, whereas Smith, like we saw it last week, only 3 targets. I think Devontae Smith is fine, but I'm playing Hampton. All right. Back to the super chats. Thank you again, Andrew. Vaporous Plenty. Thank you for the super chat. Who's better, Boswell or Butker? I trust Butker more than I trust Boswell at this point. I think Boswell, like, how a few years ago, Butker was basically like a top end tight kicker. I mean, like where you just always played him. You never second guessed it. Even if you had a tough matchup, you probably weren't going to cut him because you just didn't want someone else to pick him up because he's that good. That's kind of how I feel about Boswell. Boswell is kind of like automatic from 50 plus yards, which, like, again, they're in the NFL, so there's a lot of good kickers in the league, but not every kicker is just draining kicks like that. And you can see that offense stalling, where they can kick it. Whereas I could see the Chiefs stalling out, like, on their own 30-yard line, like where they don't move the ball, where they're not in kicking range. So I would feel a lot better about Boswell. Are we starting Judkins? You cannot play Judkins. I'm playing Boswell over Butker. Is it okay if I start the Rams defense or the Vikings? I like both. I would be fine with either defense this week. But I do lean with the Rams. The Rams just have a great defensive line. They've got another good matchup this week. They proved to be good last week. And the matchup this week might honestly be easier against a rookie quarterback. So I think you kind of just stick with the hot hand. The Rams got you there last week. The Rams, it's hard for a defense to individually win you your week. And what I mean by that is scoring 20 plus points, something crazy like that. But the Rams definitely were, if your game was close, you easily could have won because you had the Rams. And I think that will be the case against this week. Now, next week, I think the Rams play the Birds, the Eagles. So we're going to have to jump ship off the Rams after this week. But I believe the Rams are going to be very, 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 very reliable for you. Lastly, should I start Lawrence or Penix? Okay. My opinion on this question is very simple. If you want to be safe, you play Penix. If it's my team, Penix versus Lawrence, I'm going Penix because I trust Penix way more. Why do I trust him way more? Because Trevor Lawrence has had he had BTJ last year and he wasn't able to be consistent. Penix has Drake London, Pitts, and Bijan and Mooney. He proved to be reliable last week. Trevor Lawrence had a wet dream matchup, a easy matchup, a soft serve ice cream matchup last week, and shit down his pant leg in a matchup where legitimately I thought he was going to throw 3 touchdowns. Now, can he bounce back? Yes. Do we write off a guy after one game? No. But for Trevor Lawrence, it's not just one game. It's a laundry list of games where we have believed in him and he has fucked us directly in the behind. So I would personally rather just lean away and play Penix. Kurt, need 3, PPR, Smitty, Hollywood, Judy, Keenan, Reek. All right, you're going to play Tyreek in this scenario because there isn't just a stone cold, obvious, 3 guys you're going to play ahead of Tyreek. In your scenario, you don't have that where it's like locked and loaded. You're going to play them. So you got to go Tyreek because the upside, there's no Christian Gonzalez. So it's a good matchup against the Patriots for him. Again, I'm not going to sit here and guarantee Oh my gosh, he's going to guaranteed have a huge game. You can't say that about Tyreek at this point. You just can't. But I feel good about him this week. Then we're gonna go Hollywood because I feel very safe about Hollywood. And then we're gonna go Devontae Smith. But if you wanted to go Judy or Allen instead of Smith, it would be fine. But I'm gonna go if it's my team. Ooh, wait. It's definitely Reek. It's definitely Tyreek, and it's definitely Hollywood. And yeah, it's gonna be Smith. It's gonna be Smith. It's gonna be Smith. Oh wait. Yeah, so I have Smith 27, Hollywood 28, Tyreek 26, Judy 32, Allen 35. So they're all in the same tier for me. But I would go Smith, Hollywood, and Reek. And if you want to be safer, like if Smith scares you, which I get, and you want to be safer, you just play Reek, Keenan, Hollywood. Thank you for the super chat. All right. Drake London or Jalen Waddle? Drake London. Should I shuffle at all? Wide receiver, Mike Evans. I think you're good. I don't think you need to switch anything. You could play Kamara over Jacoby, but I think you're good. If Javonte Williams gets another 2 tutties against the Giants, he could. DK or ETN, I would play ETN. Hey man, choose 3. Kamara, Connor, Javonte, Pollard, good matchup for Javonte, bad one for Kamara. I'm going, yeah, Pollard's going to be the odd man out. Kamara, Connor, Javonte. Pittman or Montgomery? Montgomery. Look, I don't want to play Pittman this week. This is going to be something we talk about every single week. And some people in the comment section were shitting on me. Nick, how come you don't want to play Michael Pittman this week? You saw what he did to your Dolphins, right? Ha, dumbass. You saw what happened, right? And I did see what happened. I have eyes. I watch the games. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't come on here and give you guys advice if I wasn't watching the games. But I know what happened. Michael Pittman destroyed us. I know. I watched the game. But Pittman, like, that's against the Dolphins. Now he's going up against the Broncos. You don't want to be playing the wide receiver 1 on any team against the Broncos unless it's like Justin Jefferson. So David Montgomery, Murray or Mayfield this week, Murray. How do you feel about Drizzy, Drake, Champagne? If you're feeling bubbly, the 6 God. If you really love me, May. I feel good about him this week. Go ahead and do that. Yes, sir. K9, Jacoby Myers, or Dunze. I would go Jacoby, K9. I'd go K9 and Jacoby. K9 and Jacoby. Smith, Moore, or Pickens. I would go Moore, personally. I would go Moore. All right, I just got to put the finishing touches on my DFS lines real quick. We're going to keep answering questions, though. I'm just putting this one in because there's 6 minutes to go, and I still have 2 more to put in. I can't believe I sat fucking Tucker Kraft and played Mark Andrews in my one league because when I started the stream, I thought I did it, so I didn't double check. Okay, just make sure there's no more super chats. Start 2. McMillan, Igbuka, Pearsall, Ridley. I'm going Igbuka and Pearsall. Jameson Williams or Swift. I would go JMO. Burrow or Fields? Burrow. Yeah, make sure you guys are on the Discord, by the way. Spock always puts it in the chat. It is always in the comment section of my videos. I mean, it's always in the description. The thing is popping all the time, and I've got to answer a Patreon question real quick. It's always popping, the Discord, so make sure you guys are in there. It's very fun. I'm in a full PPR league, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex, 1 defense. Who'd you start? Kyler? Okay, let's just set this real quick. Okay, Kyler's the quarterback over CJ Stroud. And I'm going to answer your guys' questions. Bijan is always going to be in. James Cook is always going to be in. MHJ. Marv. Bowers. All right. I've had to make sure I answer the Patreon questions because people pay for those, obviously. Mooney over Pittman, right? Yeah. Samson or JMO? Samson. Fairbairn or Little? I'm just going to check my rankings. Fairbairn or Little? I got Fairbairn. 5 little 8. So Fairbairn. Fuck Pittman. What 2 players should I start? JMO. Raphael, I definitely answered your super chat, by the way, but I'll answer it again. Right here. Moore or Pearsall, May or Mahomes. I got it. I answered it before, but it's because I was behind on the super chats. So I probably answered it while you weren't paying attention, which is perfectly fine because we are behind on questions. But I will answer it very simply for you. Moore or Pearsall? I lean with Pearsall over Moore. Again, I understand that there are clear risks with Ricky Pearsall because the fact that Mac Jones is his starter. But I think that Pearsall is going to get force-fed the ball early and often in that game. I think that he is going to see ya, Brendan. I think he's going to get a lot of volume, and I think he's going to perform off of that volume. He looked very good last week. There's no Kittle. Juwan Johnson's banged up, or Juwan Jennings is banged up. I feel very good about that, even with Mac Jones. And then May or Mahomes. I have May ranked ahead of Mahomes by 1 spot. I think if it's my gut tells me to play Mahomes just because I think Mahomes is going to backdoor into a very solid performance in that game, meaning that he's going to get a lot of looks late. He's going to get a lot of throwing opportunities late in the game. So I lean Mahomes. It's a toss-up, but I'm going Mahomes and I'm going Ricky. And I apologize that you missed me answering that. Or maybe I did skip it, but I really don't think I did. I think I said that earlier. Kenneth Walker or Jordan Mason at running back, full PPR. I would go Kenneth Walker. I really find it hard to sit Kenneth Walker. Again, just after one game, if you had an option that wasn't Jordan Mason, right? If your other option was like, oh, I could play him, or I could play, let's just think of like someone that like Chuba or James Conner or something, right? I'm just going to play James Conner or Chuba, even though you probably would have gotten those guys after you drafted Kenneth Walker. But in your scenario, I think you just kind of have to rock with Kenneth Walker. 49ers or Denver? 49ers or Denver? Okay, let me just look at my rankings real quick. 49ers or Denver? What the fuck just happened? 49ers. I have 49ers for Denver too, so I'd go Denver. And then Rashid or Brown, Loop or Dicker. I'd go Dicker. I'd go 49ers. I mean, Dicker, Denver. And then I would go Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown, Dicker, Denver. Samuel, thank you for the super chat. Ted McMillan or Tyreek. I would go Ted McMillan. Both guys kind of reek of risky this week, I think. I think both of those guys are far from safe options. But because, like, you know, Bryce Young sucked ass last week. Like, let's be honest. But I think I would just feel better about Tet knowing that even if the Panthers are losing and even if the Panthers get embarrassed, kind of like last week, you know, Tet McMillan still had a competent game, whereas Tyreek was nowhere to be found. Tyreek was invisible when the Dolphins lost. So I would just feel better about Tet because of that. All right, 1 minute until lock. I'm going to put my last DFS lamp in real quick. And then no, which one do we want to go? This one. Let's go this one. All right, and then we're to rapid fire. We're rapid firing. Chat, which 2 do I start? Igbuka, Flowers, Lad. Flowers and Lad. DJ Moore, Tony Pollard. I'd go Tony Pollard. ETN, DK, or Sutton? Sutton. ETN. See ya, Brian. Andrews or Jawan Andrews, Sutton or Brown, Sutton. ETN, Alvin Kamara, DK. I would go ETN and DK. Good luck to everyone. Moody or Pittman? I would go Mooney. All right, I put all my lineups in, thank God. Chargers or Cowboys defense? I would go with the Cowboys. Chuba or Hampton? Chuba. Chuba over Hampton. 10 seconds. Waddle or Chris Olave? Olave. Sharbs or Wandale? Sharbs. Ricky or Keenan? Ricky. Devontae Smith or Mike Evans? I would go Mike Evans. Juwan Johnson or Ingram? Ingram. I hope you got that in. I hope I said that quick enough. Ingram and Evans. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate the super chat. And I hope you're able to get that in. I appreciate you super chatting all the time. I hope it didn't lock you out. I hope you didn't get screwed over by that. Evans and Ingram. If you started Juwan Johnson over Ingram, I wouldn't mind too much. Devontae Smith over Ingram would definitely suck more than the other way around. But I appreciate you guys watching the stream. Appreciate it a ton. Appreciate everyone watching. Let's get it. Let's get it. Sutton or James Conner? Do I think Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson, or DK Metcalf? I would go Metcalf. Sutton or James Conner? Sutton. James Conner. Joker or Warren? Warren. Thanks again, man. No problem. Good luck. Good luck to everyone. Good luck. And thank you again, Tyler, for the super chat. It would have been Mike Evans and Ingram. Hopefully, when do these guys play? I don't even know. Buccaneers. Buccaneers play right now. Buccaneers play tomorrow. So you might have been good. Hopefully you were good to get that in. Mike Evans and Juwan Johnson. Good luck to everyone. Good luck, Kaylin. Good luck, none of your business. I'll see you guys soon. See you guys tomorrow with video. We will be live again on Thursday. We're just going to keep firing them up. Keep firing them up. I hope you guys did enjoy the stream. Adios. Good luck to everyone. Thank you guys for all the super chats. Make sure you guys do like on the way out. The best way to help me is by liking or commenting on all the videos. It helps me out so much. Well, you'll ever know. Leave a like. Love you guys. Thank you guys for everything. And we'll be back tomorrow with some videos. I appreciate all the support. 74 or 94 super chats. It means the world to me. I love you guys. Do the Carl voice. What Carl? Like Carl Weezer? I wish I could do Carl Weezer. Carl Weezer? I wish I could do the Carl Weezer voice. Good luck, unemployed. See you, Brody. I need to figure out some better voices that I can do. Some fucking Borat's definitely my best one. I used to have a good Trump accent / voice that I can't do anymore. I have no idea how to do it anymore. Thank you, Brad. Best of luck to all your guys' teams. Fins up, baby. Peace out.